Welcome, friends, to a journey back in time, deep into the heart of southern Ohio. Let's leave the noise of the modern world behind and find a quiet space among these ancient, rolling hills. Imagine yourself here, breathing in the scent of damp earth and rustling leaves, surrounded by a sea of green under a vast, open sky. The forests here are old, whispering stories of seasons past, of generations that have come and gone, leaving their silent marks upon the land. It's in this tranquil landscape that we find something truly extraordinary, a mystery etched into the earth itself. This is the Great Serpent Mound, a silent guardian resting upon a high plateau, overlooking the gentle curves of Brush Creek. For centuries, it has laid here, a massive, winding earthwork that has puzzled historians, archaeologists, and dreamers alike. It's not a place of grand monuments or towering structures. Its power is subtle, a quiet presence that invites contemplation rather than awe. As we begin our exploration, let's take a moment to just be here, to feel the calm of this place, and let its ancient wonder wash over us. Today, we're not just looking at a historical site. We're connecting with a story that has been unfolding for thousands of years. The Great Serpent Mound isn't just dirt and stone. It's a testament to a people we know so little about, a sacred symbol whose true meaning has been lost to the mists of time. As the sun moves across the sky, casting shifting shadows along its length, the mound seems to breathe, to come alive. It asks us questions without words. Who built this magnificent effigy? What purpose did it serve? Was it a map of the stars? A place of ceremony? A marker of a cataclysmic event? Let's begin our walk along its path. From the ground, it's hard to grasp the whole picture. You see a long, raised embankment of earth, gracefully curving and coiling. It feels organic, as if it grew right out of the land. The mound stretches for over 1,300 feet, a quarter of a mile of deliberate, artistic creation. Following its form is like tracing a line drawn by a giant's hand. The serpent's body undulates, creating 7 distinct coils that ripple across the plateau. Each curve is precise, carefully planned and executed with a level of skill that is simply astonishing, especially when you consider the tools available to its creators. They had no modern surveying equipment, no blueprints, just an intimate knowledge of their world and a powerful vision. As we walk, the feeling of peace is palpable. The only sounds are the chirping of birds, the hum of insects, and the gentle whisper of the wind through the trees. It's a place that encourages you to slow down, to observe, to feel. The mound's long, sinuous shape is hypnotic. You can almost imagine a great serpent slithering silently through the grass, its form frozen in time. The curves are not random. They seem to follow the natural contours of the land, yet they also possess a deliberate, almost mathematical, precision. This duality is part of its magic. It is both a part of nature and a profound statement of human culture. Now, let's approach the most enigmatic part of the mound. The head. Here, the earthwork widens, forming a triangular shape that represents the serpent's open jaws. And within those jaws, it seems to be holding, or perhaps swallowing, a large, oval feature. This oval mound is about 120 feet long and is a mystery within a mystery. What does it represent? Some theories suggest it's the sun, an egg, or another celestial body. Could the serpent be a creature of creation, giving birth to the world? Or is it a creature of destruction, devouring a source of life and light? The ambiguity is captivating. It's a cosmic drama played out on a terrestrial stage. This head portion is aligned with the summer solstice sunset, a fact that has led many to believe the mound is a sophisticated astronomical calendar. Imagine the people who built this, gathering on this very spot, watching as the sun descended on the longest day of the year, its last rays aligning perfectly with the serpent's head. It must have been a powerful and deeply spiritual experience. A moment that connected the people on Earth with the grand, cyclical movements of the heavens. They were not just farmers. They were astronomers, engineers, and artists, weaving their understanding of the universe into the very fabric of their home. Let's pause here, at the serpent's head, and look out over the landscape. The view is magnificent. The plateau drops off sharply, and you can see 4 miles across the Brush Creek Valley. You feel like you're on top of the world, or at least on top of their world. This strategic location was clearly chosen with great care. It wasn't just a random patch of flatland. This place was special, sacred. It's a natural high point, a place that feels closer to the sky, closer to the gods or spirits they worshipped. The energy here is different. It's a thin place, where the veil between our world and another seems to flutter in the breeze. The identity of the builders is another layer of the mystery. For a long time, the Indigenous culture, who lived in this region from around 800 BC to 01 AD, were credited with its construction. They were known for their burial mounds and ceremonial earthworks. However, more recent archaeological studies, using advanced radiocarbon dating, have challenged this theory. Samples taken from the mound have yielded dates pointing to the Ford ancient culture. Around 1070 AD, this is a significant shift, placing the mound's construction much later in time. What is fascinating is that this later date coincides with two major celestial events: the bright light of a supernova in 1054 AD, the one that created the Crab Nebula, and the appearance of Halley's Comet in 1066. Could the Great Serpent Mound be a commemoration of one of these events? Imagine a people looking up at the night sky and seeing a new, impossibly bright star appear where none had been before, or witnessing a fiery, tailed object streak across the heavens. Such an event would have been profound, perhaps seen as a powerful omen or a divine sign. It's plausible that they would want to memorialize it, to create a lasting symbol on the earth, to reflect what they saw in the sky. The serpent, a powerful symbol in many cultures, could represent the shape of the comet's tail, and the oval, the supernova's brilliant explosion. This theory adds another layer of AO to the mound, connecting it directly to cosmic events that happened 1,000 years ago. Regardless of who built it or exactly why, the Great Serpent Mound remains a place of deep spiritual significance. For centuries, it has been a site of pilgrimage and ceremony, not just for the descendants of its builders, but for people from all walks of life. Native American tribes today still consider it a sacred place, a living part of their heritage. It serves as a powerful reminder of the sophisticated cultures that thrived in North America long before European contact. It challenges the old, outdated narratives of a new world that was empty and undeveloped. This land was home to complex societies with rich spiritual lives, incredible artistic vision, and a deep connection to the cosmos. As our journey through this first chapter comes to a close, let's take one last look at this magnificent effigy. The sun is lower now, and the shadows are longer, making the serpent's coils stand out in sharp relief. The air is cool and still. The mystery of the mound remains. It doesn't give up its secrets easily. And perhaps that's the point. It's not a puzzle to be solved and filed away. It's a presence to be experienced, a question to be lived with. It invites us to be curious, to wonder, and to connect with something ancient and profound. It reminds us that there are stories in the land, written by hands we may never know, but whose legacy continues to inspire and mystify us. Thank you for joining me on this quiet introduction to the Great Serpent Mound. I hope you've enjoyed this slow, unfolding journey. There is so much more to explore, so many more stories to tell. If you found this journey as fascinating as I do, please like, subscribe, and follow along as we continue to unravel the mysteries of our world. Until next time, stay curious. Welcome back to our journey through ancient mysteries. Today, we're heading to a place that defies imagination, to uncover the story of the world's largest serpent effigy. Picture this. Nestled in the rolling hills of what is now Ohio, lies an earthen monument of staggering proportions. It's not a pyramid, not a temple, but something far more enigmatic. It's a serpent, sculpted from the very earth itself, slithering across the landscape. This is the Great Serpent Mound. Let's talk about scale, because that's where the story truly begins. This is no small carving. The Serpent Mound stretches for nearly 1,348 feet. To put that into perspective, if you stood it on its end, it would be taller than the Empire State Building. It's longer than 4.5 football fields laid end to end. This isn't just an effigy. It's a monumental work of landscape art, crafted by hands from a distant past. Imagine the sheer manpower, the coordination, the vision required to build something of this magnitude without modern tools or aerial surveying. The dedication is simply and the shape itself is just as captivating. The effigy depicts a massive, winding serpent, its body gracefully curving into 7 distinct coils. It moves with a sense of fluid motion, as if it were momentarily frozen in time while slithering across the plateau. Its head is open, appearing to swallow or perhaps hold an oval-shaped feature, which has been interpreted as an egg, the sun, or even the body of a frog. The tail ends in a tightly wound triple coil, a final flourish to this incredible design. The entire form is beautifully contoured, rising about 3 feet from the ground, a subtle yet powerful presence on the landscape. Walking alongside it, you can feel the rhythmic rise and fall of its earthen body, a testament to the skill of its builders. No, serpent effigies aren't entirely unique to this one spot. Cultures all over the world have revered and depicted serpents. We see them in the feathered serpent god, Quetzalcoatl, of Mesoamerica. We find them carved into stone in ancient Europe and depicted in the mythology of Australian Aboriginal cultures. The serpent is a powerful, universal symbol, often representing life, death, rebirth, and the cosmos. But here's what makes the Great Serpent Mound stand alone. In the world of serpent effigies, it is unparalleled in its sheer size and the precision of its form. While other cultures created serpent imagery, none did so on this colossal scale, sculpted directly into the earth. It is the largest and finest serpent effigy in the entire world, a masterpiece of a forgotten people. Its construction suggests a society with a deep, sophisticated understanding of geometry, engineering, and symbolic representation. When European settlers and explorers first stumbled upon this incredible structure in the 18th and 19th centuries, they were utterly mystified. It was so unlike anything they had encountered before. Early descriptions are filled with a sense of awe and confusion. Antiquarians like Ephraim Squire and Edwin Davis, who surveyed the site in the 1840s, were among the first to document it systematically. Their detailed maps and drawings brought the Serpent Mound to national attention. In their influential book, Ancient Monuments of the Mississippi Valley, they described it with wonder, calling it a stupendous and extraordinary structure. They marveled at its perfect preservation and the graceful curves of its form. At the time, many were unwilling to believe that Native Americans could have created such a sophisticated monument. Theories, now debunked, ranged from lost tribes of Israel to migrating Vikings, or even a mythical race of giants. These early impressions, though often misguided, highlight just how profoundly the Serpent Mound challenged the worldview of those who first documented it. They could unreconcile this masterpiece of earthen engineering with their preconceived notions of the people who inhabited the land. This initial bewilderment is understandable. The serpent seems to be deliberately aligned with celestial events. The head aligns with the summer solstice sunset, while the coils appear to point toward the winter solstice sunrise and the eclipse. This suggests its creators were not just artists and engineers, but also skilled astronomers. They were watching the sky, charting the movements of the sun and moon, and embedding that cosmic knowledge into the very ground they walked on. The mound wasn't just a symbol. It was a calendar, a compass, and a ceremonial center, all rolled into one massive, serpentine form. Imagine ancient peoples gathering here on a solstice, watching as the sun set perfectly in the jaws of the great serpent. The power of that moment, the connection between the heavens and the earth, must have been profound. It was a physical manifestation of their cosmology, a place where their spiritual world and physical world converged. But who were these people? For a long time, the mound's origins were a deep mystery. Initially, it was attributed to the Adena culture, who lived in the area around 800 BC to 1 AD, because of burial mounds found nearby. The Adena were known for their conical burial mounds and early earthworks, so it seemed a plausible connection. However, more recent archaeological research has challenged this theory. Advanced dating techniques, including radiocarbon dating of charcoal found within the mound itself, have provided new and somewhat conflicting terms. Some studies point to the Fort Ancient culture, around the year 1070 AD, as the more likely builders. This would place its construction in the same era as the great city of Cahokia, suggesting it was part of a wider cultural blossoming across North America. Still other evidence points back to the original Adena theory. Around 300 BC, this debate among archaeologists continues to this day. Was it a late masterpiece of the Adena, or a grand statement by the Fort Ancient people? This uncertainty adds another layer to the mound's mystique. It's a silent witness, its story locked within the earth, challenging us to keep digging, keep questioning, and keep exploring the deep history of this continent. The very purpose of the mound is another puzzle that fascinates. Unlike many other mounds in the region, the Serpent Mound contains no burials. It was not a tomb. This suggests its function was purely ceremonial or symbolic. Was it built to appease a powerful serpent deity? Or perhaps to harness its spiritual power for the benefit of the community? Some theories propose it was created in response to a celestial event, like the appearance of Halley's Comet in 1066, which would have been a spectacular and possibly frightening sight in the night sky. The serpent's shape, twisting across the sky, could have been a direct representation of the comet. Another idea is that it represents a creation story, the serpent emerging from a cosmic egg. Or maybe it served as a map of constellations, a guide to the heavens laid out on Earth. The truth is, we may never know for certain. The mound holds its secrets close, inviting us to speculate and wonder. It's a Rorschach test from the past, and what we see in it often reflects our own desire to connect with the people who made it. The story of its preservation is almost as remarkable as its creation. By the late 19th century, the mound was threatened by farming and treasure hunting. Recognizing its immense historical value, Frederick Ward Putnam, an archaeologist from Harvard University, launched a campaign to save it. He raised funds from wealthy patrons in Boston to purchase the land and protect the effigy from destruction. This was one of the earliest examples of historical preservation in the United States, a pioneering effort to save a piece of America's ancient heritage. The site was eventually transferred to the Ohio Historical Society and is now a National Historic Landmark, protected for all to visit and appreciate. Thanks to Putnam and those who followed, we can still walk the path around this ancient marvel, stand where its builders stood, and feel the weight of 1,000 years of history. Visiting the Serpent Mound today is a truly humbling experience. There's a viewing tower that allows you to see the entire effigy from above, revealing its full form in a way its creators never could. From that vantage point, you truly grasp the genius of their design. It's a silent, powerful reminder of the sophisticated cultures that thrived in North America long before Columbus arrived. It challenges us to rethink our understanding of the past and to appreciate the deep, rich history of the land itself. It's a place that speaks not in words, but in form, in alignment, and in its timeless presence on the landscape. It asks us to listen to the earth and to the stories it holds. Thank you for joining me on this exploration of the Great Serpent Mound. If you enjoyed this journey into the ancient world, make sure to like, subscribe, and join us next time as we uncover another chapter of our shared human story. Ever wonder what secrets are buried right beneath our feet? Let's take a journey back in time, deep into the heart of North America, to the lush Ohio Valley. Long before the first European settlers arrived, this land was home to sophisticated and fascinating cultures. We're talking about the Adena, the Hopewell, and the Fort Ancient peoples, societies that shaped the very landscape with their monumental earthworks. Welcome to Chapter 3 of our series, where we're unearthing the land of these ancient mound builders. Our story begins around 1000 BCE. With the Adena Kuch, these were some of the first people in the region to transition to a more settled, agricultural lifestyle. They cultivated native plants like squash, sunflower, and gut. But what truly sets them apart are their conical burial mounds. These weren't just simple graves. They were sacred spaces, built over generations, containing elaborate log-lined tombs for their most respected members. The famous Grave Creek Mound in West Virginia is a stunning example of Adena engineering, a testament to their deep spiritual beliefs and social structure. They also created distinctive art, like the iconic Adena pipe, which depicts a human figure, giving us a rare glimpse into how they saw themselves. Their society was the foundation upon which even more complex cultures would be built. As the Adena culture began to wane around 200 BCE, a new, even more influential tradition emerged. The Hopewell weren't a single tribe or nation, but rather a vast network of interconnected communities sharing a common set of beliefs and practices. Their influence spread far and wide, from the Great Lakes all the way down to the Gulf of Mexico. This is what we call the Hopewell interaction sphere. Think of it as an ancient trade and information soup. They were master traders, sourcing materials from incredible distances. We're talking obsidian from the Rocky Mountains, copper from the Great Lakes, mica from the Carolinas, and seashells from the Florida coast. But what did they do with all these exotic materials? They transformed them into breathtaking works of art and ceremonial objects. Intricately carved pipes, copper breastplates, and beautiful mica cutouts are just a few examples. These weren't just everyday items. They were symbols of status, power, and spiritual connection, often buried with their honored dead inside massive, geometrically precise earth. Unlike the simple conical mounds of the Indigenous, the Hope Whale built enormous complexes of circles, squares, and octagons, all aligned with astronomical events like the solstices. And the Newark Earthworks in Ohio, for example, is so vast and precise that it's been called a cathedral of the ancient world. It shows a deep understanding of geometry and astronomy that is simply mind-boggling. The Hopewell culture was a true golden age in the Ohio Valley, a period of immense creativity, trade, and spiritual expression that left an indelible mark on the land. After about 500 CE, the great Hopewell centers began to decline. The vast trade networks seemed to dissolve, and people shifted to smaller, more localized communities. For a few hundred years, things were quieter in the Ohio Valley. But then, around the year 1000 CE, a new culture rose to prominence: the Fort Ancient people. Now, their name's a little misleading. It comes from an old fort where their artifacts were first found, but they weren't necessarily more warlike than their predecessors. In fact, they were highly successful farmers, mastering the cultivation of the three sisters: corn, beans, and squash. This reliable food source allowed them to build larger, more permanent villages, often arranged in a circular or oval pattern around a central plaza. Like the cultures before them, they were also mound builders, but they added a unique twist. One of their most famous and enigmatic constructions is the Great Serpent Mound, right here in Ohio. This incredible effigy mound stretches over 1,300 feet, depicting a massive snake uncoiling and appearing to swallow an egg-shaped oval. For decades, scholars debated who built this magnificent earthwork. Many assumed it was the older Adena or Hopewell peoples, who were known for their grand constructions. The serpent motif was present in their art, so it seemed like a logical fit. But then, modern science stepped in and turned everything on its head. In the 1990s, archaeologists conducted radiocarbon dating on charcoal samples excavated from the mound. The results were startling. The evidence pointed to a construction date around 1070 CE, placing it squarely in the time of the Fort Ancient culture. This discovery was a game-changer. It showed that the Fort Ancient people were not just simple farmers, but were carrying on the ancient traditions of their ancestors, creating their own monumental and spiritually significant earthworks. The Serpent Mound may not be a burial mound in the traditional sense. No human remains have been found within it. Instead, it's believed to have been a site of immense ceremonial importance, possibly linked to astronomical events like the setting sun on the summer solstice or Halley's Comet, which was visible in 1066. But here's where the story gets even more layered. While the radiocarbon dates point to the Fort Ancient people as the final builders, it doesn't mean the story started with them. It's entirely possible, and many scholars believe, that the Serpent Mound site was sacred for much, much longer. Perhaps the Fort Ancient people were rebuilding or expanding upon an older, smaller mound left by the Adena. The site could have been part of a long, unbroken cultural and spiritual tradition passed down through millennia. It's a powerful reminder that history is rarely simple. It's a tapestry, woven with threads from many different hands over countless generations. The Fort Ancient culture thrived until around 1650 CE, but their legacy, and that of the Adena and Hopewell before them, is not gone. It is written into the very earth of the Ohio Valley, a silent, powerful testament to the ingenuity and spirit of North America's ancient peoples. What an incredible journey through time. From the first burial mounds of the Adena, to the vast ceremonial centers of the Hopewell and the enigmatic Serpent Mound of the Fort Ancient people, the Ohio Valley holds a history as deep and rich as any in the world. These earthworks are more than just dirt. They are libraries of the past, holding stories we are only just beginning to read. Thank you so much for joining me on this exploration. If you found this fascinating, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into our shared human story. We'll see you in the next chapter. Welcome back, everyone, to our deep dive into the mysteries of the Serpent Mound. In this chapter, we're going beyond the serpent itself and digging deep literally into the ground beneath it. What if I told you the land the serpent rests on is just as mysterious, if not more so, than the effigy itself? The Serpent Mound isn't just placed on any old hill. It's perched atop a truly unique and bizarre geological feature. Imagine a massive, circular ridge with a jumbled, chaotic landscape inside. This isn't your typical Ohio terrain. This strange, ring-like structure is known as the Serpent Mound crypto-explosion structure. The name itself, crypto-explosion, means hidden explosion, which perfectly captures the enigma we're dealing with. It's an 8-kilometer-wide scar on the face of the Earth, a place where the neat, horizontal layers of bedrock you'd expect to see are instead violently shattered, folded, and thrust upwards at strange angles. The rocks in the center are actually older than the rocks at the edge, a geological reversal that just shouldn't happen. It's as if something punched the Earth from below, or perhaps from above, with colossal force. So, what could have created such a mind-boggling feature? Scientists have been debating this for decades, and there are 3 main theories, each more dramatic than the last. The first, and perhaps most popular theory, is an ancient meteor impact. Picture this. Somewhere between 250 and 300 million years ago, a massive space rock, maybe a few hundred meters across, comes screaming through the atmosphere and slams into this very spot. The resulting explosion would have been catastrophic, instantly vaporizing the meteor and a huge chunk of the Earth's crust, creating a massive crater. Over millions of years, erosion would have worn down the crater's rim, leaving behind the disturbed, circular pattern of rock we see today. The jumbled, faulted rocks, and the presence of certain minerals under high pressure, are strong evidence for this impact hypothesis. It has a compelling story on ancient cosmic catastrophe, setting the stage for a sacred monument millions of years later, but not everyone is convinced it was a visitor from space. The second theory proposes an explosive geological event from within the Earth itself. This is the cryptovolcanic idea. The theory suggests that a massive buildup of gas, superheated and under immense pressure deep within the Earth's crust, found a weak point and erupted with unimaginable force. It wouldn't have been a lava-spewing volcano like we typically picture. Instead, it would have been a single, cataclysmic explosion of gas and rock, a sort of geological burp of epic proportions. This blast would have shattered the overlying rock layers and forced them upwards, creating the central uplift and the circular faults we observe. Then there's a third, less explosive but still fascinating possibility. A collapsed limestone dome. In this scenario, deep underground, vast deposits of salt or other soluble minerals were slowly dissolved away by groundwater over eons. This created a massive cavern deep beneath the surface. Eventually, the limestone and shale layers above this cavern could no longer support their own weight and collapsed inward. This massive collapse could have caused the surrounding rock layers to fracture and buckle, creating the ring-like structure. While this theory is less dramatic, it accounts for the disturbed geology without needing a cataclysmic explosion. Each theory has its proponents and its evidence, but the true origin of the Serpent Mound crypto-explosion structure remains one of Ohio's greatest geological debates. There's no smoking gun, no definitive proof that settles it once and for all. Now, let's shift our perspective from the scientific to the spiritual. Regardless of how this strange landscape was formed, whether by fire from the sky or a blast from below, imagine being an ancient person walking through this area. 4 miles and miles. The land is predictable, with rolling hills and flat river valleys. Then, suddenly, you come across this place. A place where the ground itself is different. The rocks are broken and tilted. Strange crystals, like calcite and fluorite, might be found glittering on the ground, brought up from the deep. The very energy of the place would feel different, special, set apart from the ordinary world. The ridge itself offers a commanding view of the surrounding landscape, a natural high place, perfect for observation and ceremony. This wasn't just a hill, it was a geological anomaly. 2 ancient observers who lived in deep connection with the natural world. Such a unique place wouldn't be seen as a random occurrence. It would be interpreted as a place touched by powerful forces. A spot where the boundaries between the earthly and the spiritual worlds were thin. It would have been seen as inherently sacred, a place with a special energy, or mana. Building their most significant effigy, a massive serpent, on this specific, powerful ridge wasn't a coincidence. They were intentionally placing their sacred symbol upon a sacred foundation, layering meaning upon meaning. The serpent, a creature connected to the underworld and the sky, was built on a piece of land that had literally been shaped by forces from deep below or high above. The geology wasn't just a convenient location, it was an integral part of the monument's spiritual power and significance. The land itself was the first chapter of the story. So, the Serpent Mound is more than just an earthwork. It's a monument built on a mystery, a geological riddle wrapped in an archaeological enigma. The strange and powerful nature of the land itself likely inspired its selection and sanctification by ancient peoples. Thanks for joining me on this geological journey. In our next chapter, we'll explore who these mysterious builders were and try to unravel the timeline of this incredible creation. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss it. See you next time. Have you ever looked at something so vast you couldn't make sense of it up close? That's the mystery we're diving into today with the Great Serpent Mound in Ohio. Standing on the ground, walking along its winding curves, you feel its immense scale. You can touch the earth, sense the history. But the full picture, it remains hidden. You see segments, rises and falls in the landscape, but the true shape, the breathtaking image of a giant serpent, is elusive. It's like trying to read a single letter of a word and guess the whole sentence. To truly see the serpent, you have to go up, way up. From an aerial perspective, everything changes. Suddenly, the disconnected curves snap into focus, revealing a magnificent serpent effigy, over 1,300 feet long, gracefully slithering across the plateau. Its head, an oval shape, appears to be uncoiling to swallow an egg-like feature. The body flows with an incredible, natural rhythm, marked by 3 distinct bends. It's only from the sky, a viewpoint unavailable to its creators, that the complete design is revealed. This is the first and most profound paradox of the Serpent Mound. It was designed to be seen from a place its builders could never go. This brings us to a mind-bending question. How did they do it? The people who constructed this marvel, a culture we now call the Adena, or Fort Ancient People, lived thousands of years ago. They had no drones, no airplanes, no hot air balloons. Their tools were woven baskets, stone hoes, and their own 2 hands. Yet, they managed to sculpt the earth with such precision that the final form is only coherent from hundreds of feet in the air. Imagine trying to draw a perfect, massive picture on a football field, but you're only allowed to stand on the field itself. You can't climb the bleachers to check your work. You'd have to rely on meticulous planning, complex geometry, and an almost unimaginable level of coordination. Think about the sheer effort. They moved tons of earth, clay, and rock, layer by layer, to build up this structure. The mound isn't just a pile of dirt. It's a carefully constructed form, with a base of clay and ash, covered by soil. The precision is astonishing. The curves are not random. They are deliberate and fluid, creating a sense of motion. How could a ground-based society create a flawless aerial image? This wasn't just a casual project. It was a monumental undertaking that likely spanned generations. It suggests a level of planning and surveying skill that challenges our modern assumptions about ancient peoples. Some have theorized they might have used small models, or perhaps a system of ropes and stakes laid out with incredible accuracy. Maybe they climbed the tallest trees in the area to get a slightly better vantage point, piecing together the view in their minds. But even the tallest trees wouldn't provide the perspective needed to see the entire form in one go. The sheer scale of the serpent would still be too large. The creators possessed a form of spatial reasoning that is difficult for us to comprehend. They had to hold this entire, massive image in their collective consciousness, executing it piece by piece on the ground with unwavering accuracy. It's a testament to their intellect and their deep connection to the land they were shaping. But the mystery doesn't end with how they built it. An even bigger question is why. Why create a colossal effigy that could only be fully appreciated by us? The answer, many researchers believe, lies not on the earth, but in the heavens. The precision of the Serpent Mound wasn't just for Aztec appeal. It was likely a cosmic clock, a calendar carved into the landscape itself. Ancient cultures around the world were expert astronomers. They watched the sun, moon, and stars with a keen eye, understanding their cycles were deeply connected to life on Earth's seasons, to planting, to hunting, and to spiritual ceremonies. The alignment of the Serpent Mound strongly suggests it was an astronomical observatory. The head of the serpent, for example, aligns almost perfectly with the sunset on the summer solstice, the longest day of the year. If you were to stand at the center of the egg this serpent is swallowing and look through the open jaws, you would see the sun dip below the horizon on that specific day. This wasn't an accident. It was intentional, a way to mark a crucial point in the celestial and seasonal cycle. The summer solstice was a time of great power and significance for agricultural societies, representing the peak of the sun's strength, and the alignments don't stop there. The various curves of the serpent's body seem to point to other important celestial events. Some researchers have proposed that the coils align with the rising points of the sun on the equinoxes and winter solstice. Others suggest alignments with the moon, particularly its northernmost and southernmost rising and setting points over its 18.6-year cycle. It's as if the entire effigy is a map of the sky, translated onto the earth. The serpent itself, a powerful symbol in many cultures representing transformation, rebirth, and celestial power, becomes the pointer, the instrument that connects the people on the ground to the cosmos above. So, the shape was meant to be seen from above, not by human eyes, but perhaps by the celestial beings or forces they worshipped. Or maybe the act of building it was a ritual in itself, a way of embedding their cosmic knowledge into the very fabric of their world. They weren't just building a mound, they were building a relationship between their community, the earth, and the universe. The serpent's form, revealed from the sky, was a mirror of the order they saw in the heavens. By creating this, they were participating in that cosmic order, harmonizing their world with the greater universe. The precision was necessary, because the cosmos itself is precise. The sun doesn't almost set in the right place on the solstice. It does so with predictable accuracy. To honor and track that, their earthly instrument had to be just as accurate. This dual mystery, the construction method and the astronomical purpose. The Great Serpent Mound, one of the most fascinating ancient sites in the world. It forces us to reconsider the capabilities and the worldview of the people who made it. They weren't primitive. They were sophisticated engineers, brilliant astronomers, and deeply spiritual people who understood the world in ways we are only just beginning to appreciate. They created a masterpiece that transcends time, a message written on the land, waiting for us to look up and finally understand its celestial language. The serpent's shape, only clear from an aerial view, wasn't a flaw in its design. It was the very key to its purpose. It was a sacred diagram, a link between worlds, and a timeless monument to human ingenuity and our eternal quest to find our place in the cosmos. Thank you for watching, and if you're as fascinated by these ancient mysteries as I am, make sure to subscribe for more journeys into the past. Welcome back to our journey. In Chapter 6, we delve into one of the most fascinating aspects of this ancient wonder, its connection to the heavens. Titled Sunrise, Sunset, and the Serpent's Alignments, this chapter explores the incredible astronomical precision encoded within the earthwork. For centuries, researchers and enthusiasts have suspected that this was more than just a random shape in the landscape. Now, thanks to meticulous documentation and modern technology, we can confirm these suspicions. The serpent is, in fact, an ancient astronomical calendar. Let's start with the most dramatic alignment, the summer solstice. Picture this. On the longest day of the year, as the sun begins its slow descent toward the western horizon, something magical happens. If you stand at the serpent's tail and look toward its head, you'll see the setting sun perfectly align with the open jaws of the serpent. It's as if the great celestial snake is about to swallow the sun. This moment is breathtaking and provides the strongest evidence that the builders possessed a sophisticated understanding of solar cycles. This wasn't a coincidence. It was a deliberate and powerful statement, linking the earthwork directly to the most significant solar event of the year. But the serpent's head isn't the only part of its body that points to the sky. The alignments are far more complex than a single solar event. Researchers have discovered that various curves and coils along the serpent's body correspond to other key moments in the solar and lunar calendars. For example, certain coils align with the sunrise on the winter solstice, the shortest day of the year. Others mark the sunrises and sunsets on the spring and autumn equinoxes, those 2 days of the year when day and night are of equal length. This means the entire structure functions as a comprehensive calendar, tracking the 4 major seasons. The creators could have used these alignments to know when to plant, when to harvest, and when to hold important ceremonies tied to the changing of the seasons. It was a practical tool for survival and a sacred space for ritual, all in one. And the story doesn't end with the sun. Some of the most intriguing theories revolve around lunar alignments. The moon, with its more complex and subtle cycles, also seems to have been a major focus for the serpent's builders. Certain prominent curves in the serpent's body appear to align with significant lunar standstills. A lunar standstill, or lunistis, is the point where the moon reaches its northernmost or southernmost rising and setting points on the horizon. This cycle is much longer and more complex than the solar year, repeating only every 18.6 years. The fact that the serpent may incorporate these alignments suggests an even deeper level of astronomical knowledge and observation, passed down through generations. Imagine dedicating decades, even centuries, to observing the sky just to create this monumental earthwork. It speaks to a culture deeply connected to the cosmos, where the movements of the sun and moon were woven into the very fabric of their lives. So, how did these early theories about celestial connections first come about? Long before GPS and digital mapping, curious antiquarians and local observers noticed the serpent's peculiar orientation. In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, pioneers like William Pigeon, and later avocational archaeologists, began to propose that the serpent and other mounds were not just burial sites, but had astronomical significance. Initially, these ideas were often dismissed by the mainstream academic community as speculative or romantic. They were seen as fanciful interpretations without hard evidence. These early theorists, however, were persistent. They spent countless hours at the site, armed with compasses and charts, patiently waiting for solstices and equinoxes. To prove their hypotheses, they took detailed measurements and drew maps, laying the groundwork for future generations of research. It was their passion and dedication that kept the question of astronomical alignment alive. They encouraged others to look at these ancient structures not just as static relics of the past, but as dynamic instruments designed to interact with the cosmos. As we move forward, we'll see how modern archaeology, with the help of archaeoastronomy, has vindicated many of these early theories. What was once considered fringe speculation is now a widely accepted and celebrated aspect of this incredible site. The evidence is compelling. The serpent's head doesn't just generally point west. It aligns precisely with the summer solstice sunset azimuth. The coils don't just curve randomly. They mark specific solar and possibly lunar rising and setting points throughout the year. The mathematical precision is astounding, especially when you consider the builders had no modern instruments. They used simple tools like stakes and ropes, combined with an immense body of observational knowledge. Each curve and contour was planned and executed with a purpose, turning the very land into a sacred clock. This earthwork wasn't just built upon the land. It was built in partnership with the sky. Think about the societal implications of such a structure. Building it would have required a massive, coordinated effort from a large community. It would have needed planners, astronomers, and a huge workforce. This suggests a highly organized society with a stable social structure, capable of undertaking multi-generational projects. The serpent was likely a central hub for the community, a place for ceremony, celebration, and education. It was where knowledge of the cosmos was passed down, where the community came together to mark the passage of time, and where they felt connected to the rhythm of the universe. The serpent was their church, their clock, and their history book, all written in earth and aligned with the stars. It's a profound testament to the intellectual and spiritual depth of these ancient peoples. As we conclude this chapter on the serpent's celestial alignments, we are left with a sense of awe. The Serpent Mound is a masterpiece of landscape art and ancient science. It's a silent, earthen giant that has been watching the sky for over 1,000 years, faithfully marking the sun's journey and the moon's dance. It reminds us that ancient cultures possessed a wisdom and a connection to the natural world that we are only just beginning to fully appreciate. Their universe was not a distant, abstract concept. It was an immediate, living presence that guided their daily lives. The serpent is a timeless bridge, connecting us not only to the past, but also to the cosmos itself. Thank you so much for joining me for this deep dive into the serpent's astronomical secrets. The mysteries don't stop here. In our next chapter, we will explore the rituals and ceremonies that might have taken place at this sacred site. What did it mean to the people who built it? What did they feel as they saw the sun swallowed by the serpent's jaws? Be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss it. Thanks for watching, and see you next time. Did you know that long before telescopes and modern observatories, North America was home to some of the world's most dedicated for thousands of years? Indigenous peoples across the continent developed incredibly sophisticated astronomical traditions, weaving the movements of the sun, moon, and stars into the very fabric of their lives. This wasn't just casual stargazing. It was a science, a religion, and a way of life, all rolled into one. Today, we're journeying back in time to uncover the secrets of these ancient astronomers and the incredible structures they built to map the cosmos. Many of us have heard of Stonehenge in England, a famous prehistoric monument aligned with the solstices. What if I told you that North America has hundreds, if not thousands, of similar, and in some cases, even more complex, sites? These are often called earthworks, massive structures built from soil and stone, shaped into mounds, circles, squares, and even animal forms. From the Ohio Valley to the Mississippi River and beyond, these ancient landscapes were giant, open-air observatories. Let's start in the Ohio Valley, home to the Hopewell and Adena cultures, who flourished over 2,000 years ago. They were master builders, imagined vast geometric enclosures, like the Newark Earthworks in Ohio. This isn't just a random collection of mounds. It's a precise, astronomical calculator. Its most famous feature is a massive circle connected to an octagon. These alignments weren't just for the moon. Other earthworks, like the Great Circle at Newark, are so perfectly circular that modern surveyors are astounded. Many sites across the continent have gateways and mounds aligned with the winter and summer solstices, shortest and longest days of the year. These events were crucial. They marked the changing of seasons, telling people when to plant their crops, when to harvest, and when to prepare for winter. The sun's journey was the ultimate clock and calendar. For agricultural societies, this knowledge was the difference between a bountiful harvest and starvation. Survival itself was written in the stars. So, who were the people making these incredible observations? We can think of them as astronomer priests or ceremonial observers. In many indigenous societies, knowledge of the sky was sacred. It was held by spiritual leaders and knowledge keepers who had a deep connection to both the natural and supernatural worlds. These individuals weren't just scientists in our modern sense. Their roles were much broader. They were community leaders, healers, and historians. They would spend years, even decades, watching the sky, noting subtle changes, and passing this sacred knowledge down through oral traditions, ceremonies, and the very architecture of their communities. Imagine a community gathering at a place like Cahokia, near modern-day St. Louis. At its peak, around the year 1100, Cahokia was a bustling city, larger than London at the time. At its western edge stood a series of large wooden posts arranged in a circle, now famously known as Woodhenge. From the center of this circle, an observer could watch the sunrise over a specific post on the horizon, marking the solstices and equinoxes. This wasn't just an agricultural calendar. These events were likely accompanied by huge ceremonies, festivals, and rituals that brought the entire community together. The rising sun on the winter solstice might signify renewal and the promise of longer days to come. The whole city would participate, reinforcing their shared cosmology and social bonds. The designs weren't always geometric. Take the Serpent Mound in Ohio, a nearly quarter-mile-long earthen snake slithering across a hilltop. Its head aligns with the summer solstice sunset, and its coils may correspond to other solar and lunar positions. This magnificent structure is a powerful fusion of art, religion, and astronomy. The serpent is a powerful symbol in many cultures, often associated with water, the underworld, and renewal. By shaping the very land into this cosmic symbol, its creators were making a profound statement about their place in the universe and their relationship with the celestial powers that governed their world. Fort there west, in the Chaco Canyon of New Mexico, the ancestral Puebloan people created their own unique astronomical markers. The most famous is the Sundauger. High on a butte, 3 massive stone slabs are propped against a cliff face. Behind them, 2 spiral petroglyphs rock carvings are etched into the stone. At midday on the summer solstice, a single sliver of sunlight, a dagger of light, pierces through the slabs and perfectly bisects the larger spiral. At the winter solstice, 2 daggers of light appear and bracket the same spiral. On the equinoxes, the light strikes both spirals in different positions. This is an incredibly elegant and complex device. The sheer effort required to identify this location and then move those massive slabs into place is staggering. It shows a deep, intimate understanding of the sun's path throughout the year. This knowledge wasn't just held by a select few. It was woven into everyday life. The very architecture of their great houses, like Pueblo Bonito and Chaco Canyon, has solar and cardinal alignments. Doorways and windows were positioned to allow sunlight to enter specific rooms at certain times of day or year, acting as natural clocks and calendars inside their homes. This tells us that the cosmos wasn't something distant and abstract. It was an active, living presence in their daily existence. These astronomical traditions are a vital part of the cultural heritage of indigenous peoples today. The knowledge wasn't lost. It was passed down through generations. The stories, ceremonies, and languages of many Native American nations still hold this deep understanding of the sky. For example, the Pawnee people of the Great Plains had a complex star chart, which was reflected in their ceremonies and even the layout of their villages. The Lakota saw the constellation we call the Big Dipper as part of a great celestial circle that represented the path of life. For them, the stars are relatives, ancestors, and guides. As we look up at the night sky, it's humbling to remember that we are part of a long, unbroken chain of human beings who have done the same for millennia. The ancient earthworks and rock art across North America are enduring testaments to the ingenuity, curiosity, and spiritual depth of the continent's first astronomers. They remind us that there are many ways of knowing, and that science and spirituality have not always been separate. They are powerful reminders of a time when the earth and sky were seen as one, and humanity's place was to watch, to listen, and to live in harmony with the great cycles of the cosmos. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey into the world of ancient Americans. If you found this fascinating, please hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into our shared past. What ancient mystery should we explore next? Let me know in the comments below. See you next time. For centuries, the Cahokia Mounds have held their secrets close. We've unearthed artifacts, mapped their city, and even found evidence of a sophisticated astronomical observatory. But the central question has always remained: why? Why was this monumental city built, and what was its ultimate purpose? In our journey so far, we've explored many possibilities, from political power centers to religious capitals. But today, we delve into a theory so specific, so profound, it could rewrite everything we thought we knew. This is the story of a celestial event that may have shaped a civilization. The total solar eclipse of 1070 CE. What if the very heart of Cahokia, its grandest mounds and plazas, wasn't just a general representation of the cosmos, but a memorial to a single, breathtaking moment in time? This is the core of the 1070 eclipse theory. It proposes that the architects of Cahokia witnessed a total solar eclipse and were so moved by the experience that they decided to capture it in earth and wood, creating a permanent monument to the day the sun disappeared. This idea might sound like something out of a science fiction novel, but it's grounded in compelling scientific evidence. Remember the radiocarbon dating we discussed earlier? Those tests placed the initial, major construction phase of Cahokia right around 1050 CE. Well, astronomical software allows us to rewind the clock, to see the sky exactly as the ancient Cahokians would have. And when we do, we find something astonishing. On the morning of August 11th, 1070 CE, the path of a total solar eclipse passed directly over the Cahokia site. The timing is almost perfect. The construction boom at Cahokia aligns precisely with the aftermath of this celestial spectacle. Could it be a coincidence? It's possible, but the correlation is too strong to ignore. The dates match up, placing a major, observable astronomical event right at the doorstep of Cahokia's golden age. To understand why this would be so significant, we have to put ourselves in their shoes. Imagine you live in a world without modern astronomy. Your life is governed by the sun. It provides warmth, light, and allows your crops to grow. The sun is a dependable, life-giving deity. Now, imagine that one morning, without any warning, a black disk begins to devour it. The sky darkens, the birds go silent, and a strange twilight falls over the land. The familiar daytime world is suddenly plunged into an eerie darkness. The sun's magnificent corona, a fiery crown of light, becomes visible in a way you've never seen before. For a few terrifying, awe-inspiring minutes, the entire order of your universe is turned upside down. For the people of Cahokia, this wouldn't have been a simple astronomical curiosity. It would have been a profoundly spiritual, sacred, and likely terrifying event. The sun, their powerful god, was being consumed. Was he to assign a message from the heavens? A cosmic battle between light and darkness. The sun's eventual return would have been met with overwhelming relief and celebration. Such a powerful event, a moment where the world seemed to end and be reborn, would be seared into the collective memory of the people. It's exactly the kind of event that would demand commemoration. What better way to honor the gods, or to mark your people's survival of a cosmic crisis, than to build a monument that mirrors the heavens? This theory suggests that Monk's Mound, the largest structure, might not just be a platform for a chief's home, but a symbolic representation of the black sun itself. It's massive, dark, earthen form. Dominating the landscape could be a permanent effigy of the eclipsed sun. The surrounding plazas could represent the darkened sky, and the wooden posts of Woodhenge, the celestial alignments that were so important to their cosmology. The entire city plan could be a map of that one fateful day. This wasn't just city planning, it was theology written on the landscape. The eclipse provided a powerful origin story, a founding myth for the newly unified and rapidly growing city of Cahokia. It was a shared experience that could bind different groups of people together under a new leadership and a new, cosmically endorsed vision. Think about the power this would give the city's leaders, the elites, the priests, and the astronomers who might have had some understanding of celestial cycles could interpret the event for the masses. They could frame it as a demonstration of their own power and their special connection to the gods. We are the people who saw the sun die and return. We are the people chosen by the cosmos. Building a city in the image of the eclipse would be a constant reminder of this special status. It would legitimize their rule and sanctify the city itself, making it the most important place on Earth. This theory doesn't just explain the timing of Cahokia's rise, it gives it a soul. It transforms the city from a collection of mounds and artifacts into a dynamic stage for a profound human drama. It connects the hard data of radiocarbon dating with the celestial mechanics of an eclipse in the deep, universal human need to find meaning in the cosmos. The 1070 eclipse theory presents a Cahokia, born from awe and fear. A city built to remember a day when the sky fell. Of course, a theory this grand is not without its critics and its questions. How could they have organized such a massive construction project so quickly? Is the connection purely coincidental? And what other evidence might support or challenge this idea? In the next chapter, we'll dive into the controversies surrounding the eclipse theory and explore the other astronomical alignments at Cahokia that add even more layers to this incredible puzzle. We're getting closer to the heart of the mystery. Thanks for watching, and be sure to subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. Welcome, bike history detectives. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most enigmatic symbols found in ancient art. The oval shape clutched in the serpent's mouth. What is this mysterious object? Let's unravel the theories together. Across various cultures and time periods, we see this recurring image, a great serpent, sometimes depicted as a dragon or a similar mythical beast, with a distinct oval or circular object held right at its jaws. Sometimes it's fully in the mouth, other times it's being presented or even emerging. The details vary, but the core elements, the serpent and the oval, remain constant. This isn't just a random artistic choice, it's packed with meaning. So, what are the leading interpretations? First up is the most intuitive one. The egg. Serpents are known eggators, but they also lay eggs themselves. This dual nature makes the egg a powerful symbol of life, death, and rebirth. A serpent holding an egg could represent the cycle of creation and destruction. Think of the Orphic egg in Greek mythology, a cosmic egg from which all of creation emerged. A serpent coiled around it signifies the protective, yet potentially destructive, forces of nature. So, when you see a serpent with an egg, you're likely looking at a profound statement about the very nature of existence. It's about the universe being born, dying, and being reborn in an endless loop. Another compelling theory is that the oval isn't an egg at all, but rather an object being swallowed. This interpretation shifts the focus from creation to consumption. The serpent becomes a symbol of overwhelming power, a force that can devour anything in its path. This could represent a kingdom conquering another, a natural disaster, like a flood or an earthquake, or even a more personal struggle, like an individual being consumed by their own fears or desires. In this context, the serpent is a fearsome entity, a representation of the darker, more destructive aspects of the world. It's a cautionary image, a reminder of the powerful forces that can overwhelm us if we're not careful. But what if the serpent isn't being aggressive? What if it's making a respectful gesture? A third interpretation suggests the oval's an offering. In many spiritual traditions, serpents are seen as guardians of sacred places or messengers between the earthly and divine realms. In this role, the serpent might be presenting a precious gift to a deity or a revered ancestor. This object, often depicted as a luminous pearl or a sacred gem, represents wisdom, spiritual enlightenment, or eternal life. The serpent, therefore, is not a threat, but a guide, offering us the key to unlocking a higher state of being. This view transforms the serpent from a symbol of fear into one of reverence and spiritual attainment. Now, let's explore the most fascinating theory, one that connects this ancient symbol to a spectacular celestial event. What if the oval in the serpent's mouth is the sun? This interpretation opens up a whole new level of meaning and ties directly into the eclipse theory. Imagine ancient people looking up at the sky during a total solar eclipse. As the moon begins to cover the sun, the solar corona, the sun's fiery outer atmosphere, becomes visible. This shimmering, ethereal ring of light around a dark central disk would have been a breathtaking and terrifying sight. To explain this phenomenon, they might have imagined a colossal celestial serpent slowly devouring the sun. The serpent represents the darkness of the moon, and the sun is the life-giving orb being consumed. This makes perfect sense when you consider the importance of the sun in ancient cultures. The sun was the source of light, warmth, and life itself. Its temporary disappearance during an eclipse would have been seen as a world-altering event, a moment when the cosmic order was thrown into chaos. A sky serpent eating the sun is a powerful and intuitive metaphor for this cosmic battle between light and darkness. The eclipse theory is compelling because it unifies many different cultural depictions. For example, in Norse mythology, the wolf Fenrir is prophesied to swallow the sun during Ragnarok, the end of the world. In ancient China, a celestial dragon was believed to be the culprit behind solar eclipses. Villagers would bang pots and pans to scare the dragon away and force it to release the sun. In Hindu mythology, the demon Rahu is beheaded by Vishnu for trying to steal the nectar of immortality. But his head, flying through the sky, periodically swallows the sun, causing eclipses. The serpent, or a similar creature, becomes a universal explanation for this awe-inspiring event. The oval shape, the sun, being consumed by the serpentine form of the moon's shadow, perfectly matches the visual experience of an eclipse. This wasn't just a story. It was a way to make sense of the universe, to give form and narrative to one of nature's most dramatic spectacles. The image of the serpent and the sun becomes a cosmic clock, a symbol of time, cycles, and the eternal struggle that plays out in the heavens above. So, when we look at this ancient symbol, we're not just seeing a snake with a ball. We could be seeing a creation myth, a warning of destructive power, a spiritual offering, or a dramatic reenactment of a solar eclipse. Each interpretation gives us a window into the minds of our ancestors, revealing how they saw the world and their place within it. The beauty of this symbol is that it doesn't have to be just one of these things. It could be all of them at once. A symbol's power lies in its ability to hold multiple meanings, to speak to different people in different ways. The serpent with the oval is a testament to the richness of human imagination and our timeless quest to understand the mysteries of life, death, and the cosmos. What do you think the oval represents? An egg? A gem? Or the sun itself? Let me know your theories in the comments below. It's incredible how a single image can spark so much discussion and wonder, even thousands of years later. Thanks for joining me on this journey through history and mythology. If you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next adventure. See you next time. Welcome back to our journey through the myths and symbols that shape our world. Today, we're diving deep into Chapter 10, the serpent as a celestial being. Now, when you think of a serpent, what comes to mind? For many cultures across the globe, this creature is far more than just a slithering reptile. It's a powerful symbol of renewal, cycles, and regeneration. Think about how a snake sheds its skin. It is a physical act that ancient peoples saw as a profound metaphor for rebirth and starting anew. This isn't just a random idea. It's a pattern woven into the fabric of human storytelling. From the Ouroboros, the ancient symbol of a serpent eating its own tail, representing the eternal cycle of life, death, and rebirth, to the protective Naga deities in Southeast Asia. The serpent has been a guardian and a guide. It represents the cyclical nature of time itself, the turning of seasons, the phases of the moon, and the journey of our own lives. This connection to cycles and protection is incredibly strong, but the serpent's symbolism doesn't stop at the ground. It often ascends to the heavens, becoming a celestial being of immense power. Nowhere is this more vivid than in many Native American traditions. Here, the serpent isn't just an earthly creature. It's deeply tied to cosmic and spiritual realms. Consider the Great Serpent Mound in Ohio, an ancient earthwork that coils across the landscape. Its head aligns with the summer solstice sunset, connecting this earthly serpent directly to the sun's journey across the sky. This isn't just art. It's a calendar, a compass, and a sacred text written on the land itself. In many of these cultures, serpents are associated with water, rain, and lightning, life-giving forces that descend from the sky. They are the keepers of esoteric knowledge, bridging the gap between our world and the spirit world. The horned serpent, for instance, is a powerful figure in many tribal mythologies, a being that controls storms and holds deep wisdom. These aren't just monsters. They are elemental forces, personifications of the natural world's power and mystery. So, we have this global image of the serpent as a symbol of renewal and a cosmic entity in Native American lore. How does this help us understand an event like a solar eclipse? An eclipse is a moment of cosmic drama. The sun, the source of all life, suddenly vanishes from the sky. Ancient cultures needed a way to explain this terrifying and awe-inspiring event. And what better actor for this celestial play than the serpent? The idea of a great sky serpent devouring the sun fits perfectly within these established cultural patterns. The serpent, already a symbol of cycles and transformation, becomes the agent of this temporary death of the sun. It's not seen as a permanent end, but as part of a larger cosmic cycle. Just as the serpent sheds its skin, the sun is consumed only to be reborn. The sky serpent isn't necessarily a villain in this story. Instead, it can be seen as a regulator of cosmic order, a force that ensures the cycle continues. Let's look at the Aztec feathered serpent god Quetzal, whose name combines the Quetzal bird representing the heavens and the serpent representing the earth. He was a creator god, a bringer of knowledge, and was linked to the morning star, Venus. His story is one of cosmic cycles, of departure and promised return. Similarly, the Maya had Kukulkan, another feathered serpent deity associated with the sun and the calendar. The famous pyramid at Chichen Itza is designed so that during the eclipse, the sun casts a shadow that looks like a serpent slithering down the steps. This architectural marvel demonstrates a profound understanding of astronomy and a deep cultural belief in the serpent as a celestial timekeeper. When an eclipse occurred, it was natural to see it through this lens. The serpent, a creature that bridges sky and earth, life and death, was enacting its cosmic role. The temporary darkness was a moment of transition, a sacred pause in the celestial rhythm, orchestrated by this powerful, primordial being. This imagery wasn't just about explaining a natural phenomenon. It was also a source of great spiritual power and a call to ritual. When the sky serpent was believed to be swallowing the sun, it was a time for ceremonies, for prayers, and for reaffirming the community's relationship with the cosmos. People would make loud noises, beating drums and shouting, not just out of fear, but to actively participate in the cosmic struggle to help the sun re-emerge. It was a community-wide event that reinforced social bonds and spiritual beliefs. The eclipse became a moment of collective participation in the universe's grand narrative. The serpent's act of devouring the sun wasn't an apocalypse. It was a powerful, recurring ritual written in the sky, a reminder of the constant dance between darkness and light, destruction and creation. So, when we see a myth about a sky serpent eating the sun, we're not just looking at a primitive attempt to explain science. We're looking at a sophisticated and layered piece of cultural storytelling. It draws on a deep, global well of serpent symbolism, renewal, cycles, regeneration, and protection. It taps into specific cultural beliefs, like the Native American view of the serpent as a cosmic and spiritual being, and it provides a powerful, meaningful framework for understanding one of nature's most dramatic events. The serpent isn't a monster. It's a master of ceremonies for the cosmic cycle of rebirth. It reminds us that even in moments of darkness and uncertainty, there is a pattern, a cycle, and the promise of renewal. The light will always return. Thank you so much for joining me on this exploration into the heart of mythology. The serpent's journey from the earth to the stars is a testament to the human imagination and our eternal quest to find meaning in the world around us. If you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next chapter. We have so many more mysteries to uncover together. Until next time, stay curious. Welcome back to our journey through ancient symbols and forgotten histories. Today, we delve into one of the most enigmatic and recurring motifs found across ancient cultures, the serpent and its 7 coils. From the rock art of Ohio's Serpent Mound to the winding dragons of East Asia and the cosmic snakes of Mesoamerica, this symbol appears again and again. But what does it truly mean? Let's unravel the mystery of Chapter 11, the serpent and the 7 coils. At its core, the image is simple yet profound. A serpent, often depicted in motion, with its body forming 7 distinct curves or coils. These aren't just random squiggles. They are deliberate, rhythmic, and full of symbolic weight. The serpent itself is a powerhouse of meaning, representing everything from death and rebirth due to the shedding of its skin, to healing, wisdom, and primordial creative energy. But the number 7 is where the puzzle deepens. Why 7? Why not 5? Or 9? The consistency of this number across geographically and chronologically distant cultures suggests a shared, fundamental understanding of the world. One of the most compelling theories is that the 7 coils represent cycles of time and the rhythms of nature. Think about the most visible cycles in our sky. The most obvious is the moon. The lunar cycle is roughly 28 days, which can be neatly divided into 4 phases of 7 days each. The new moon, first quarter, full moon, and last quarter. Each coil of the serpent could symbolize one of these 7-day periods, with the entire serpent representing the full monthly journey of the moon. This connection to the moon ties the serpent to themes of femininity, tides, intuition, and the cyclical nature of life itself. The serpent becomes a living calendar, a celestial almanac etched in stone and myth. Another powerful celestial connection is to the 7 classical planets or wandering stars of the ancient world. These were the 7 celestial bodies visible to the naked eye, that moved against the backdrop of the fixed stars. The sun, the moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. Many ancient civilizations, from the Babylonians to the Greeks, associated these celestial bodies with specific gods, energies, and days of the week. Our 7-day week is a direct descendant of this system. In this light, the seven-coiled serpent becomes a map of the cosmos, a representation of the divine order that governs both the heavens and life on Earth. Each coil could represent a planetary sphere, a level of consciousness, or a step on a spiritual journey through the cosmos. Beyond the sky, the number 7 appears in many earthly patterns. Consider the 7 colors of the rainbow, the 7 notes in a musical scale, or the 7 main energy centers in the body, known as chakras in Eastern traditions. The serpent, especially the Kundalini serpent in yogic philosophy, is said to lie coiled at the base of the spine. When awakened, it rises through the 7 chakras, leading to spiritual enlightenment. This concept frames the 7 coils not just as an external observation of the cosmos, but as an internal map for human potential and spiritual evolution. The journey of the serpent through its 7 coils becomes the journey of the soul towards divinity. Now, let's turn our attention to the rich world of indigenous cosmologies, where numerical symbolism is deeply woven into the fabric of reality. For many Native American cultures, numbers are not just for counting. They are sacred qualities that define the structure of the universe. The number 4 is often paramount, representing the 4 cardinal directions, the 4 seasons, and the 4 sacred elements. However, the number 7 also holds a place of immense significance. For the Cherokee, for example, there are 7 clans, 7 levels of the universe, and their belief system is imbued with this sacred number. The Lakota have 7 sacred rites, given to them by the white buffalo calf woman. These rites, like the sun dance in the sweat lodge, are fundamental to their spiritual life. The 7 coils of the serpents could, in this context, represent these 7 sacred ceremonies, or perhaps the 7 generations that one must always consider when making important decisions. It speaks to a worldview where every action has ripples that extend far into the past and future. In many indigenous stories, the Pleiades star cluster, often called the 7 sisters, is of central importance. These stars are used for navigation, for determining when to plant and harvest, and are the subject of countless myths. A serpent with 7 coils could be a terrestrial representation of the celestial family, linking the Earth to the stars and reinforcing the idea that we live in a connected, animated universe. The serpent doesn't just represent a cycle. It represents a relationship, a kinship between the people, the land, and the stars. So, what have we found? The serpent and its 7 coils is not just one symbol, but a multi-layered key that unlocks a whole system of ancient thought. It's a celestial clock, marking the phases of the moon. It's a cosmic map, charting the paths of the planets. It's a spiritual guide, illustrating the path to enlightenment through the chakra. And it's a cultural cornerstone, reflecting the sacred laws and ceremonies of indigenous peoples. The beauty of this symbol is its fluidity. It coils together astronomy, spirituality, and natural law into one powerful image. It reminds us that ancient peoples were not primitive. They were keen observers of the world around them and within them. They saw the same patterns repeating in the sky, on the land, and in their own body. The 7-coiled serpent is the ultimate symbol of as above, so below. The profound idea that the macrocosm of the universe is reflected in the microcosm of human existence. As we continue our exploration, we see that these symbols are not relics of a dead past. They are living ideas that still have the power to teach us about our place in the cosmos and the intricate cyclical nature of life. The 7-coiled serpent invites us to look for the hidden rhythms in our own lives and in the world around us. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive. What are your thoughts on the meaning of the 7 coils? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this journey, be sure to like this video and subscribe for more explorations into the mysteries of the past. Until next time, keep questioning. Have you ever looked up at the sky during an eclipse and felt a sense of awe? Today, we see eclipses as amazing astronomical events. But for thousands of years, cultures around the world saw them as something much more. They were powerful messages from the cosmos, omens, and moments of profound spiritual significance. Let's journey back in time and explore how ancient astronomers, particularly the indigenous peoples of North America, interpreted these celestial spectacles. Forget telescopes and complex calculations for a moment. We're diving into a world of oral histories, myths, and traditions passed down through countless generations. Long before modern science, people were keen observers of the sky. The sun and moon were central to their lives, governing everything from agriculture to daily routines and spiritual ceremonies. So, when one of these celestial bodies suddenly vanished from sight, it was a truly momentous event. It wasn't just a shadow passing by. It was a disruption of the cosmic order. For many indigenous cultures across North America, an eclipse wasn't necessarily a sign of doom, but it was always a sign that demanded attention. It was a time for reflection, for ceremony, and for listening to what the universe was trying to say. One of the most common interpretations you will find in these stories is the idea of a cosmic creature consuming the sun or moon. The specific animal varies from tribe to tribe, reflecting the local environment and beliefs. For the Pomo people of Northern California, it was a great grizzly bear that took a bite out of the sun. Imagine seeing the sun slowly disappear and hearing the elders share the story of a celestial bear walking along the Milky Way and deciding to have a solar snack. The community would then come together, making noise, shouting, and banging on objects to scare the bear away and bring the sun back. This wasn't just a story, it was a communal act of restoring balance to the universe. Similarly, the Tlingit people of the Pacific Northwest tell tales of a cosmic battle. Their oral traditions speak of the sun and moon having families and even children. An eclipse was seen as a sign that these celestial families were fighting. It was a powerful reminder that conflict exists not just on Earth, but in the heavens as well. These stories served as a cosmic mirror, reflecting human experiences of strife and reconciliation onto the grand stage of the sky. Moving eastward, the Choctaw Nation has a fascinating story about a mischievous black squirrel named Funi Lucho. According to their oral history, Funi Lucho would try to eat the sun, causing an eclipse. Just like with the Poma and the bear, the community had a role to play. Choctaw people would make noise, shouting and firing guns into the air, not to harm the squirrel, but to frighten it away. It's a vivid image, isn't it? The whole community united in a shared purpose, participating in a celestial drama to save the sun. These traditions underscore a deep-seated belief that humanity is not just a passive observer but an active participant in the cosmic order. But not all eclipse stories are about consumption or conflict. For many cultures, an eclipse was a sign of renewal or rebirth. The sun, after being consumed or hidden, always returns. This cycle of darkness and light was seen as a powerful symbol of transformation. The Navajo, or Dine people, view an eclipse as a time of deep reverence and respect. During an eclipse, the sun, which is a powerful deity, is considered to be dying and then being reborn. It's a solemn time, a period for stillness and reflection within the home. Traditional Dine teachings advise against eating, sleeping, or looking at the eclipse. Instead, it's a time for prayer and for recognizing the cyclical nature of life, death, and rebirth. This interpretation shows a profound connection to the natural cycles of the universe and an understanding of balance. The Batamaliba people in Togo and Benin in Africa have a similar view. They see an eclipse as a conflict between the sun and the moon. This conflict is a moment for the community on Earth to reflect on its own strifes and to resolve them. It's a divinely ordained time to make peace. People would come together to settle old feuds and forgive one another, believing that their own acts of reconciliation would encourage the sun and moon to do the same. This turns a potentially frightening event into a powerful opportunity for social healing and renewal. It's a beautiful example of how celestial events were woven into the very fabric of society, guiding human behavior and strengthening community bonds. These oral histories are not just quaint folk. They are complex systems of knowledge. They served as calendars, as mnemonic devices for remembering important celestial cycles, and as moral guides. The stories were entertaining, yes, but they also encoded vital information about the natural world. For instance, the timing and duration of the noises made to scare away the cosmic creature might correspond to the actual duration of the eclipse, helping to track the event's progress. Elders would pass these stories down, ensuring that each new generation understood their place in the cosmos and the importance of celestial events. Think about the skill involved in this. Without written language, these cultures maintained incredibly accurate and detailed astronomical knowledge for centuries, all through the power of storytelling. These narratives were the scientific textbooks, the spiritual guides, and the historical records of their time, all rolled into one. They demonstrate a deep, intimate relationship with the sky, one where the movements of the sun, moon, and stars were as familiar as the faces of their own family members. Another important aspect is how these interpretations reinforced community cohesion. During an eclipse, everyone had a role, whether it was making noise, praying, or resolving conflicts. The event brought people together with a shared sense of purpose. It was a powerful, collective experience that strengthened social ties and reaffirmed cultural values. In a world without mass media, these celestial dramas were the ultimate shared events, experienced by everyone at the same time and interpreted through a common cultural lens. So, what can we learn from these ancient interpretations today? First, they remind us that there are many ways of knowing and understanding the universe. While science gives us the what and how of an eclipse, these stories give us the why, the meaning. They connect the celestial event to human experience in a way that scientific explanations often don't. They teach us about community, about balance, and about our role in the larger cosmic dance. They also highlight the incredible resilience and ingenuity of oral traditions. These stories have survived for hundreds, if not thousands, of years, passed from one generation to the next. They are a testament to the power of the spoken word to preserve knowledge and culture. When we listen to these stories, we are connecting with a deep and ancient stream of human wisdom. Next time you witness an eclipse, take a moment to think about this rich history. As you watch the moon's shadow creep across the sun, remember the stories of the celestial bear, the mischievous squirrel, and the fighting sun and moon. Think about the communities that gather to scare away the darkness or to pray for renewal. You'll be connecting with an ancient human tradition of looking up at the sky and finding meaning, wonder, and a deeper understanding of our place in the universe. Science tells us what is happening, but these stories tell us what it means to be human under a sky full of wonder. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey through time and tradition. If you enjoyed exploring the rich history of celestial interpretations, please give this video a like and subscribe for more dives into the fascinating world of ancient astronomy. Let us know in the comments which eclipse story you found most captivating. Until next time, keep looking up. Imagine a time long before the hum of machines, a time when the land itself was shaped by human hands, belief, and sheer will. This is the story of how great earthen mounds, those silent sentinels on the landscape, were born. It wasn't with bulldozers or excavators, but with something far more personal. The Basco. Let's journey back and picture the scene. The sun is rising, casting a soft, golden light over a bustling community. A decision has been made, one of profound significance. A new mound will be raised, a sacred place to connect the earth with the sky, the living with the ancestors. But how do you begin such a monumental task? It starts with the earth itself. The tools are simple, yet effective. Digging sticks, often fashioned from fire-hardened wood, are used to break the ground. Hoes, made from the shoulder blades of deer or large shells lashed to wooden handles, help to loosen and gather the soil. This isn't brute force. It's a careful, rhythmic process. Each scoop of earth is precious. On Silosened, the soil is carefully loaded into baskets. These aren't just any containers. They are woven from river cane, split wood, or other local fibers, each one a testament to the weaver's skill. They are sturdy, yet light enough to be carried, even when full. Imagine hundreds, perhaps thousands, of these baskets, each holding a small portion of the future mound. Now, the true heart of the operation begins. The movement of people. This is a community effort. Everyone has a role. Children might carry smaller baskets, their youthful energy a vital part of the collective endeavor. Elders, who may no longer be able to carry heavy loads, oversee the work, offering guidance and ensuring traditions are honored. They are the keepers of the mound's purpose, the living memory of the community. The organization is a marvel of human cooperation. Picture lines of people forming a human chain. One person digs, another fills a basket, and passes it along the line. From hand to hand, the earth travels. This isn't just efficient, it's symbolic. Every person in the chain touches the earth, that will build their sacred center. They are literally weaving themselves into the fabric of the mound. At the designated spot, a leader, perhaps a priest or a respected elder, directs the placement. The first basket of earth is laid with reverence, likely accompanied by a prayer or a chant. This isn't just construction. It's a sacred ritual. The ground has been prepared, purified, and blessed. The very spot where the mound will rise is considered holy. As the lines of people move, a steady rhythm develops. The digging, the filling, the passing, the emptying it becomes a kind of dance. It's a physical expression of a shared purpose. They are not just building a structure. They are building their world. The mound will be a place for ceremony, a burial place for the honored dead, an astronomical observatory, or the foundation for a chief's dwelling. Its purpose infuses every action. Let's focus on the atmosphere. While there might be rhythmic chants or the beat of a drum to coordinate the effort, there are also long periods of focused silence. Imagine the quiet shuffle of bare feet on the earth, the soft thud of soil being emptied from a basket, the whisper of the wind. This is sacred work. The silence isn't empty. It's filled with intention, with prayer, with a deep connection to the task at hand. Each layer is carefully placed. The composition of the soil might change, with different colors and textures of earth brought from various locations. A layer of dark, rich topsoil might be followed by a layer of lighter-colored clay, then sand. These layers aren't random. They might represent different elements of their cosmologies, the layers of the world or the realms of the spirits. Building the mound is like writing a sacred story upon the landscape, using earth as the ink. Ceremonial roles are crucial. There are the priests, or shamans, who sanctify the ground. In the process, they might burn sacred herbs like tobacco or cedar, the smoke carrying their prayers to the heavens. They dictate the timing, perhaps starting the work at a solstice or an equinox, aligning the earthly construction with the cosmic order. They are the architects of the sacred, ensuring that every step is taken in the correct way. There are also the organizers, the logistical masters who ensure the flow of people and materials is smooth. They manage the food and water for the workers, coordinate the different teams, and solve problems as they arise. This level of organization, without written language as we know it, speaks to a highly sophisticated and cooperative society. They shared a common vision so powerful that it could mobilize an entire population. As the mound grows higher, the task becomes more challenging. Ramps of earth or wood might be built to allow workers to reach the summit. Slowly, basketful by basketful, the structure takes shape. It's a slow, deliberate process that could span years, even generations. A child who carried their first small basket of earth might, as an adult, place the final basketful on the summit of a mound, their community built together. The involvement of the entire community is key. This isn't forced labor in the way we might think of it. It's a voluntary, even joyful, act of collective identity. Participating in the building of the mound is a way of affirming your place within the community, of honoring your ancestors, and of securing a future for your descendants. It's a physical manifestation of social cohesion. Think of the sheer scale of it. Some mounds contain hundreds of thousands of tons of earth. That's millions of basket loads. Millions of individual journeys from the source of the soil to the growing edifice. Each trip, each basket, is a single stitch in a massive, earth-woven tapestry. When the work is done for the day, as the sun sets, the community might gather. They would share a meal, tell stories, and look upon what they have created. The mound, even partially built, is already a powerful presence. It changes the horizon, creating a new, human-made feature in the natural world. It is a declaration. We are here. This is our place. And so, through the simple act of carrying a basket of earth, repeated millions of times by thousands of people, something extraordinary is achieved. A mountain is born from a molehill. A sacred center is raised from the flat earth. It's a testament not to technology, but to the power of human hands, hearts, and minds, working together in common cause. The mound stands today as a silent, enduring monument to the labor, the organization, and the deep, abiding faith of its builders. Thank you for watching. If you found this journey into the past meaningful, please like this video and subscribe for more stories etched in earth and time. Imagine standing on a high plateau, the air thin and crisp. The first blush of dawn paints the eastern sky in hues of rose and gold, pushing back the deep indigo of the night. You're not alone. Around you, a community gathers, their faces etched with a mixture of reverence and anticipation. This is the morning of the Great Ceremony, a tradition passed down through countless generations. The air hums with a quiet energy, the murmur of 1,000 voices blending into a single, expectant whisper. Today is the day the sky serpent awakens. This isn't a story of fear, but one of profound connection to our ancient ancestors. The cosmos was alive, a tapestry of stories and beings that directly influenced their world. The sun was a giver of life, a powerful deity. The moon, a mysterious guardian of the night. And the moment they crossed paths, it was a celestial event of immense spiritual significance. We're about to reconstruct what such a ceremony might have looked like, based on historical clues, archaeological findings, and a deep respect for the cultures that lived and breathed these beliefs. This is Chapter 14, the ceremony of the sky. As the sun climbs higher, the ceremony begins. Elders, draped in woven cloths, adorned with celestial symbols, move toward the center of the plaza. Their faces, lined with the wisdom of years, are serene. They carry bundles of sacred herbs, copal, sage, and sweetgrass. A low, rhythmic chant begins, a sound that seems to emanate from the very earth beneath your feet. It's a language of vowels and soft consonants, a melody that speaks of gratitude, of cycles, of the eternal dance between light and shadow. Small, controlled fires are lit in specially prepared stone pits. The smoke isn't thick or choking. It's a fragrant, ethereal mist that curls upward, carrying the community's prayers to the heavens. People begin to bring their offerings, not treasures of gold or silver, but things of true value. The first cobs of maize from the harvest, brightly colored feathers shed by sacred birds, intricately woven textiles that took months to create. Each offering is placed with care, a personal token of thanks for the sun's life-giving warmth. The chant grows in intensity, joined by the steady beat of hide-covered drums and the rattling of gourds filled with seeds. It's a symphony of natural sounds, hypnotic and all-encompassing. The rhythm mirrors the human heartbeat, unifying everyone present. You can feel the vibration in your chest, a physical connection to the collective spirit of the community. Children, who had been watching with wide-eyed wonder, are now gently guided by their parents to add their own small offerings, a smooth river stone, a wildflower. This is how traditions are passed on, not through texts, but through shared experience. Now, look up. The sun, which had been a brilliant, unwavering orb, begins to change. A tiny, dark sliver appears at its edge. A collective gasp ripples through the crowd, but it's not a sound of panic. It's a sound of awe. The moment they have been preparing for has arrived. The sky serpent is beginning to stir. In many ancient cultures, an eclipse wasn't seen as the moon blocking the sun. It was often envisioned as a celestial creature, a great serpent, a jaguar, or a wolf beginning to swallow the source of light. The drumming and chanting shift in tone. The rhythm becomes more deliberate, more powerful. This isn't a plea to stop the event, but a ritual to participate in it, to guide it, to ensure the sun's safe passage through the belly of the serpent. The sky begins to transform. The brilliant blue fades into a strange, dusky twilight. The temperature drops noticeably. Birds, confused by the sudden nightfall, begin their evening songs and head for their nests. The world holds its breath. As more of the sun is consumed, the shadows on the ground sharpen and behave strangely. The light filtering through the leaves of nearby trees projects thousands of tiny crescent suns onto the ground, a breathtakingly beautiful and surreal sight. The elders raise their hands to the sky, their voices rising in a crescendo. They are the anchors, the spiritual guides for their people, their calm resolve a beacon in the eerie dimness. They are not fighting the darkness, they are honoring its role in the cosmic balance. And then, it happens. The final sliver of the sun vanishes. The world is plunged into an otherworldly twilight. Where the sun once blazed, there is now a black disk, a perfect void in the sky. And around this void, a shimmering, ethereal crown of white light, appears the sun's corona, a sight hidden from human eyes at all other times. The crowd is silent. All chanting and drumming cease. In this moment of totality, there is only stillness. Stars and planets, invisible just moments before, now glitter in the midday night sky. This is the sacred moment, the moment of transformation. It's a profound, communal experience of wonder that transcends words. Imagine the feeling the entire world, your source of light and warmth, seemingly gone, replaced by this ghostly spectacle. It is a powerful reminder of the fragility of existence and the immense power of the cosmos. For a few precious minutes, the community is suspended between worlds, in the belly of the sky serpent. At the heart of the universe, this experience wasn't about fear of the world ending. It was a spiritual rebirth. It reinforced the belief that even after a period of darkness, light and life will return. It was a cosmic drama that played out their most fundamental beliefs about renewal and resurrection. The ceremony was an act of participation in this cycle. By honoring the darkness, they were helping to ensure the sun's triumphant return. As the first brilliant diamond of light reappears at the edge of the moon's silhouette, a collective cheer erupts, a sound of pure joy and relief. The sky serpent has released the sun. The drums and chants start again. But this time, they're celebratory, filled with renewed energy and gratitude. The light returns, washing over the landscape, and the world feels new, cleansed. The offerings of maize now seem to hold a special blessing. The fires burn a little brighter. The community feels more tightly knit than ever before. The ceremony winds down as the sun is fully restored to its glory. People embrace. They share food, and the mood is one of profound peace and jubilation. They have faced the darkness together and welcomed back the light. This hypothetical reconstruction shows us that our ancestors had a deeply sophisticated and beautiful relationship with the universe. They were keen observers of the sky, and they wove these celestial events into the very fabric of their spiritual and social lives. These ceremonies were not just rituals, they were essential acts of community building, knowledge transmission, and spiritual affirmation. They connected the people to each other, to their environment, and to the vast, mysterious cosmos above. And as we look up at the sky today, with all our scientific knowledge, we can still feel a faint echo of that ancient awe, that deep human need to find our place within the grand, celestial dance. Thanks for watching. If you found this journey into the past as fascinating as I did, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us for our next chapter. Imagine a time before satellites, before aerial photography, a time when massive secrets could still hide in plain sight, swallowed by the forests of North America. For centuries, the Great Serpent Mound in Ohio lay dormant, its serpentine form veiled by trees and known only to local inhabitants. Then, in the 1840s, two men, a newspaper editor and a physician, would change everything. Their names were Ephraim Squire and Edwin Davis, and they were about to rediscover one of the most enigmatic ancient monuments in the world. Welcome back to our journey into the past. Today, we're uncovering the story of how the Serpent Mound was brought back into the light of history. This isn't a story of digging for treasure, but of careful observation, meticulous mapping, and a race against time to save a priceless piece of human heritage. The 1840s were a period of intense curiosity about the American continent's past. Who are the mound builders? This question captivated scholars and the public alike. Squire and Davis were at the forefront of this new wave of American archaeology. They weren't just treasure hunters. They were systematic surveyors, driven by a desire to document the vast network of earthworks scattered across the Ohio Valley before they vanished forever. Armed with compasses, measuring chains, and sketchbooks, they embarked on an ambitious project to survey these ancient sites. When they first encountered the Serpent Mound, they must have been awestruck. Here was not a simple conical mound or a geometric enclosure, but a massive, undulating earthen sculpture, a quarter-mile long, depicting a giant serpent uncoiling and appearing to swallow an egg. Its scale was immense, its form unique. Unlike anything else they had documented, the Serpent Mound was purely effigial, a work of art sculpted from the earth itself. Squire and Davis understood its significance immediately. They didn't just write about it. They mapped it with unprecedented precision. Their drawing, published in their landmark 1848 book, Ancient Monuments of the Mississippi Valley, was the first detailed depiction of the Serpent Mound ever presented to the world. This publication was a sensation. It was the very first volume of the Smithsonian Institution's contributions to Norway series, and it catapulted the Serpent Mound from a local curiosity to an international archaeological icon. For the first time, people in faraway cities and countries could gaze upon the form of this mysterious serpent. The drawing sparked a fascination that has never truly faded. Scholars debated its meaning, its age, and its creators. Was it a symbol of ancient cosmology? A marker of astronomical events? A site of forgotten rituals? Squire and Davis's work provided the foundation for all future study. Their map was so accurate that it remains a vital reference for archaeologists even today. They captured the serpent's sinuous curves, the oval shape at its head, and its dramatic placement on a high, rocky promontory overlooking a creek. They had literally put the Serpent Mound on the map. But documentation is one thing. Preservation is another. As the 19th century wore on, the land around the Serpent Mound, like so much of the American frontier, was being settled and farmed. The very earthworks that Squire and Davis had so carefully documented were under threat. Mounds were being plowed flat, their contents disturbed, their stories erased from the landscape. The Serpent Mound itself was at risk. The land it occupied was privately owned, and there was a very real danger that it could be destroyed for agriculture or looted for artifacts. The specter of its destruction spurred one of the first and most important heritage preservation movements in American history. And at the heart of this movement was a man named Frederick Ward Putnam. Putnam was a professor of archaeology at Harvard University and a curator at the Peabody Museum. He had read Squire and Davis's work and, like them, was captivated by the mystery of the mounds. In the 1880s, Putnam visited the Serpent Mound and was horrified by what he saw. The site was neglected. Treasure hunters had dug into the serpent's body, and the owner was considering leasing the land for farming, which would have meant plowing the ancient effigy into oblivion. Putnam knew he had to act, and he had to act fast. He launched a nationwide, and even international, fundraising campaign. He gave lectures, wrote articles, and appealed to the intellectual and social elites of Boston and beyond. His impassioned plea was simple. This was not just a local landmark. It was a treasure belonging to all of humanity, a link to a mysterious past that, once gone, could never be recovered. His efforts were a resounding success. He raised thousands of dollars from donors, primarily a group of wealthy Boston women who formed the backbone of his preservation fund. With this money, in 1886, Putnam and the Peabody Museum were able to purchase the 70 acres of land containing the Serpent Mound. It was a landmark moment. For the first time in the United States, an ancient archaeological site was purchased specifically for its preservation. But Putnam's work didn't stop there. He wasn't just saving the site. He was also studying it. He undertook the first professional archaeological excavations at the Serpent Mound. He carefully investigated the area, repairing the damage done by looters and exploring the serpent's construction. Unlike the destructive digging of his time, Putnam's work was methodical. He excavated parts of the serpent and the nearby conical mounds, documenting his findings and confirming that the mound was an artificial construction, not a natural feature. He also transformed the site into a public park. He cleared the overgrowth, planted trees, and made the site accessible for visitors to appreciate its grandeur without causing damage. He essentially created the Serpent Mound historic site as we know it today. In 1900, he transferred ownership of the park to the Ohio State Archaeological and Historical Society, ensuring its long-term protection for future generations. The story of the Serpent Mound's rediscovery and preservation is a testament to the vision of a few dedicated individuals. Squire and Davis gave the serpent its voice, allowing it to speak to the world through their maps and writings. Frederick Ward Putnam gave it a future, saving it from destruction and establishing a precedent for archaeological preservation that we still follow today. We told them, This magnificent earthwork might have become just another faded memory, a lost chapter in the story of ancient America. Instead, it stands today as a powerful symbol of our connection to the past, a place of wonder and contemplation, open for all to see. It's a reminder that our history is fragile, and that it often falls to us to be its guardians. The serpent, once hidden, was now saved, ready to inspire and mystify for centuries to come. Thanks for watching. If you found this story of discovery and preservation fascinating, please give this video a like, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into the mysteries of our ancient world. We'll see you in the next chapter. Welcome back to our deep dive into the mysteries of the past. Today, we're in Chapter 16, exploring the fascinating world of modern archaeology and geology as we uncover the secrets of this enigmatic mound. Forget everything you thought you knew about treasure hunting and dusty relics. Modern excavation is a high-tech scientific endeavor, and we're going to show you exactly how it works. So, how do we peel back the layers of time? It all starts with the experts. We have a team of archaeologists and geologists on site, working hand in hand. The geologists are like the Earth's biographers. They analyze the soil, the rocks, and the landscape to understand the natural history of this location. They can tell us about ancient rivers, climate change, and the very ground the mound was built on. Their work provides the essential context, the stage upon which the human story unfolded. Then, the archaeologists step in. They are the detectives of human history. Their job is to meticulously excavate, layer by layer, looking for artifacts and features left behind by people. It's not just about digging, it's about recording. Every single find, no matter how small, is mapped, photographed, and documented in its exact location. This precision is crucial because an artifact's location, or its context, tells us just as much as the object itself. One of the most powerful tools in our arsenal is something you've probably heard of: carbon-14 dating, or radiocarbon dating. So, how does it actually work? It sounds complicated, but the principle is quite simple. All living things, from the mightiest tree to the smallest bug, absorb carbon from the atmosphere. But the moment it dies, that intake stops. From that point on, the carbon-14 within it begins to decay at a very predictable rate. It has a half-life of about 5,730 years. That means, after 5,730 years, half of the original carbon-14 is gone. After another 5,730 years, half of the remaining amount is gone, and so on. By measuring the amount of carbon-14 left in organic material found at the site, like a piece of charcoal from an ancient fire, a wooden post, or even a tiny seed, scientists can calculate how long ago it died. This gives us a remarkably accurate date for when that layer of the site was occupied. Now, let's talk about the ground beneath our feet. To an untrained eye, it just looks like dirt. But to an archaeologist, it's a history book written in soil. This is called stratigraphy, the study of soil layers, or strata. Imagine a cake with many layers. The bottom layer was put down first, and the top layer was put down last. Archaeological sites are the same. Over centuries, different layers of soil, ash, and debris build up. Each layer represents a different period in time. As we excavate, we carefully peel back these layers one by one, from newest to oldest. A dark layer might indicate a massive fire. A layer full of pottery shards and animal bones could be an ancient trash pit. By following these layers, we can see how the site changed over time. For example, finding a certain style of pottery in a lower layer and a different style in a higher layer tells us that one culture replaced another, or that their styles simply evolved. It is this meticulous process of understanding stratigraphy that allows us to build a chronological sequence for the entire site. One of the biggest surprises at this mound has been what we haven't found. Given its size and structure, the initial hypothesis was that this was a burial mound, a tomb for a great leader or a royal family. We expected to find human remains, elaborate grave goods, and tombs. But as we've excavated, layer by layer, we've found a conspicuous lack of burials. There are no skeletons, no burial chambers, no funerary offerings. This is a massive puzzle. Why build such a monumental structure if not for a burial? This lack of human remains is what's pushing us toward a new theory. Instead of being funerary, this mound appears to have been ceremonial. But what does that mean? It suggests this place was a center for community gatherings, rituals, or astronomical observations. We've found evidence of large fires, pits filled with feasting remains like animal bones, and post holes that might have held massive wooden structures or totems. These aren't the signs of a tomb. They're the signs of a vibrant, active place where people came together. The sheer scale of the earthworks suggests a massive, coordinated effort from a large population. Building this mound required immense labor and organization. It would have been a central project for the entire community, perhaps over many generations. This investment of time and energy points to its profound importance. It was a landmark, a symbol of their identity and connection to the cosmos or their gods. Imagine people gathering here for seasonal festivals, celebrating harvests, or conducting important religious rites. The mound itself could have been a stage for priests or chiefs, a place where the earthly and the spiritual worlds met. The layout of some features even suggests an alignment with solstices or equinoxes, turning the entire site into a giant calendar. So, the evidence is shifting. The lack of burials combined with the presence of ceremonial features paints a picture of a dynamic, communal space. It wasn't a place for the dead, but a place for the living. The modern scientific techniques we've discussed, the collaboration between geologists and archaeologists, the precision of carbon dating, and the careful interpretation of soil layers arewat abi allowed us to challenge our initial assumptions and piece together this new, more complex story. The mound is slowly giving up its secrets, revealing itself not as a silent tomb, but as the vibrant heart of an ancient society. Thanks so much for joining us on this scientific journey. The investigation continues, and who knows what we'll discover next. Make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next update. See you next time. Welcome back. In our previous discussions, we've journeyed through ancient sites and marveled at their celestial precision. Now, we arrive at a fascinating crossroads where modern science meets ancient mystery. This is the heart of the debate, a conversation between astronomers and archaeologists, each offering a unique lens through which to view the past. The central question is, what were our ancestors truly observing? For decades, the prevailing view has been that many of these monumental structures were built to align with significant solar and lunar events. Think of the solstices, the longest and shortest days of the year, or the equinoxes, when day and night are of equal length. These are tangible, cyclical events that governed the seasons, agriculture, and the very rhythm of life. Archaeologists have found substantial evidence for this. They point to stone circles where the rising sun on the winter solstice illuminates a specific chamber, or passages that are only lit during the summer solstice sunset. These alignments are consistent, observable, and deeply practical. They suggest a society profoundly connected to the cycles of the sun and moon, using the sky as a grand calendar and a guide for survival. This perspective is built on a solid foundation of observable, yearly patterns that would have been crucial for any early civilization. However, a newer, intriguing theory has emerged. Championed primarily by astronomers, they propose that these alignments might not have been for the regular, predictable cycles, but for something far more dramatic and rare. Eclipses. An eclipse, whether solar or lunar, would have been a breathtaking, even terrifying event for ancient peoples. A total solar eclipse turning day into night would have been an unforgettable spectacle. The argument is that such a profound event would have been worth monumental effort to predict and commemorate. These astronomers use sophisticated computer models to rewind the celestial clock, checking for ancient eclipses that would have been visible from specific locations. They search for patterns, looking for sight lines that might align with the position of a significant eclipse thousands of years ago. From this perspective, the structures weren't just calendars, but observatories designed to capture and understand these powerful, seemingly supernatural celestial moments. The debate is not about one side being right and the other wrong. It's a matter of emphasis and interpretation. Archaeologists who favor the solstice and lunar cycle theory argued that it's more logical for ancient builders to focus on practical, recurring events that structured their year. Why? They ask. Would a society invest so much labor to mark a single event that might not happen again for centuries? They argue that the evidence for solstice alignments is widespread and consistent across many cultures, while evidence for eclipse prediction is more speculative and relies on complex calculations that we can be certain ancient peoples possessed. Their view is grounded in the daily realities of agriculture and seasonal change. A reliable calendar was a tool for survival. An eclipse, while awe-inspiring, was an anomaly. On the other hand, the astronomers argue that we may be underestimating the intellectual and spiritual priorities of our ancestors. They suggest that the sheer power and rarity of an eclipse would have made it an event of supreme religious and social importance. Predicting such an event would have granted immense power and prestige to the shamans or priests who held that knowledge. They believe that focusing only on the practical aspects of skywatching misses the deeper, more spiritual connection our ancestors had with the cosmos. For them, an eclipse wasn't just an anomaly, it was a message from the gods, an event so significant that it demanded to be enshrined in stone. The alignments, in this view, were not for farming, but for understanding the very will of the heavens. So, how do we reconcile these two perspectives? Many researchers now believe that the answer isn't either or, but both and. It's entirely possible that these ancient sites were multi-purpose. A structure could have a primary alignment for the winter solstice, a crucial date for marking the return of the sun and the lengthening of days, while also having secondary alignments that corresponded to other celestial events, perhaps even the rare eclipse. Think of it like a grand cathedral. It's a place for weekly services, but it is also designed to be a breathtaking space for major festivals that happen only once a year, or even once a decade. The architecture serves both the routine and the extraordinary. This integrated view suggests that ancient skywatchers were far more sophisticated than we often give them credit for. They likely tracked the regular movements of the sun and moon for their calendars and agricultural cycles. This was the bedrock of their astronomical knowledge. But on top of that, they may have also observed and recorded the more unusual events. They might have noticed the 18.6-year cycle of the moon's wobble, known as the lunar standstill, which is a much longer and more subtle pattern than the monthly phases. They might have noticed that solar and lunar eclipses often occur in repeating cycles, like the Saros cycle. Recording these longer, more complex patterns would have been the work of generations of dedicated observers. A stone circle, then, could be a library of celestial knowledge, built and added to over centuries. Its primary function might be to mark the solstices, but other stones or markers could have been added later to track these other, more esoteric cycles. Consider the complexity. An archaeologist might excavate a site and find a clear, undeniable alignment to the summer solstice sunrise. This is their primary evidence. Then, an astronomer runs a simulation and discovers that 500 years after the site was built, a total solar eclipse occurred, with the sun setting directly over a different, seemingly random, standing stone. Is this a coincidence? The solstice theorist would say, yes, it's just chance. The eclipse theorist would say, no, it's evidence of a later addition to the monument, a new layer of knowledge encoded in the stone. Both interpretations are plausible, and without a written record from the builders themselves, we are left to weigh the probabilities. The beauty of this ongoing scholarly conversation is that it pushes the boundaries of our understanding. It forces us to appreciate the depth of ancient thought. These were not primitive peoples simply reacting to the world around them. They were active observers, scientists in their own right, who were engaged in a multi-generational project to understand the cosmos. The solstice and lunar cycle theory highlights their practicality and their connection to the Earth. The eclipse theory highlights their intellectual curiosity and their spiritual awe. Perhaps the truth is that these two motivations were never separate. The practical need to track the seasons and the spiritual need to understand the universe were two sides of the same coin. The sky was both a clock and a temple, a source of sustenance and a source of wonder. As we continue our journey, let us hold both these ideas in mind, appreciating the rich and complex worldview of the people who built these timeless monuments. Welcome back to our journey through history. In our previous chapters, we've explored the fascinating archaeology and science behind ancient mound sites, piecing together clues from the past. But today, we're shifting our perspective, moving from the purely scientific to the deeply spiritual and cultural. We're going to explore Chapter 18, Indigenous Perspectives and Cultural Respect. It's a vital part of the story, one that reminds us these sites are more than just historical puzzles. For many indigenous communities today, these mounds are not simply archaeological relics. They are living, breathing, sacred spaces. Imagine a place not as an object of study, but as an ancestor, a relative, a spiritual entity that holds the memories and spirits of generations. This is a profound and beautiful way of seeing the world, one that stands in contrast to the often detached, analytical view of Western science. Let's consider the mounds we've been discussing. For descendant communities, these are not just piles of earth built by a long-gone civilization. They are active spiritual centers. They are places of ceremony, prayer, and connection. When archaeologists dig into a mound from an indigenous perspective, it can be seen as a violation, like dissecting a cherished family member. It's a disturbance of sacred ground where ancestors rest and where spiritual energy resides. This isn't to say science is wrong, but that there are other valid ways of knowing and understanding. Think about it like this. You might have a treasured family heirloom, maybe a grandparent's watch. A historian might see it as a fascinating artifact, a representation of a certain time period and manufacturing style. They might want to take it apart to see how it works. But for you, it's so much more. It holds memories, stories, and a deep, personal connection. Its value isn't in its mechanics, but in its meaning. For many native communities, these ancient sites hold that same kind of deep, personal, and familial significance, but on a communal and spiritual scale that spans millennia. This perspective is rooted in a worldview where the past is not a separate, distant country. The ancestors are still present, their spirits inhabit the land, and their wisdom is still accessible. The mounds are focal points for this connection. They are places where the veil between the physical and spiritual worlds is thin. Therefore, the act of preserving them is not just about historical conservation. It's about maintaining a vital spiritual relationship. Many tribal leaders and elders emphasize that the stories and meanings of these places have been passed down through generations of oral tradition. These traditions are another form of data, another kind of evidence. While an archaeologist might look for pottery shards and soil strata, a tribal elder might share a story passed down for centuries that explains a mound's purpose and significance. Both are ways of interpreting the past, and a truly complete understanding requires us to listen to both. For example, some traditions might speak of a mound as the heart of the world, or a place where the sky and earth meet. Others might see it as the final resting place of a great leader, or a celestial observatory tied to specific star patterns and ceremonies. These aren't just myths or legends. They are a framework of knowledge, a cultural database that has been maintained orally for longer than written records have existed in this land. Ignoring this knowledge is like trying to read a book by only looking at the pictures and ignoring the text. This brings us to the crucial concept of respect. When visiting or studying these sites, it's essential to approach them not as a tourist attraction or a scientific specimen, but as someone's sacred space. It's like entering a church, a synagogue, or a mosque. You wouldn't run around shouting or chipping off pieces of the wall. The same courtesy and reverence apply here. Respect means listening. It means engaging with descendant communities and asking them for their interpretations. Modern archaeology is increasingly collaborative, with scientists working alongside tribal preservation officers and cultural leaders. This partnership is powerful. It combines the rigorous methods of science with the profound wisdom of tradition. The result is a richer, more nuanced, and more human story of the past. For example, when new discoveries are made, collaborative approaches ensure that any human remains or sacred objects are treated with the dignity they deserve, often leading to reburial ceremonies guided by tribal elders. This practice, known as repatriation, is a crucial step in healing historical wounds and building trust between scientific institutions and indigenous nations. It acknowledges that the people buried in these mounds were just that people, with families, beliefs, and the right to rest in peace. This collaborative spirit also changes the questions we ask. Instead of what was this object used for? We might also ask, what does this object mean? Instead of how old is this structure, we can also explore, what stories does this structure tell? This approach doesn't diminish the science. It enhances it, adding layers of meaning and cultural context that artifacts alone can never provide. So, as we continue our exploration of these ancient marvels, let's carry this perspective with us. Let's remember that we are guests in a sacred landscape. The mounds are not just silent monuments to a lost world. They are active, powerful places, imbued with the spirit of the past and holding deep significance for people in the present. They are a testament to the endurance of culture and the unbreakable bond between a people and their land. By embracing this respectful and holistic view, we don't just become better students of history. We become better, more understanding human beings. We learn to appreciate the diverse ways people connect with their heritage and the world around them. The story of these mounds is not over. It continues to be told, not just in academic journals, but in the ceremonies, songs, and living traditions of Indigenous peoples today. Thank you for joining me for this important chapter. It's a conversation that enriches our entire understanding of the past and present. As we move forward, we'll keep this dual lens of science and spirit in focus. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss what's next. See you in the next video. Welcome back to our journey through the mysteries of ancient North America. Today, we're exploring why a nearly quarter-mile-long earthen serpent sculpted into the Ohio landscape over 1,000 years ago still captures our imagination. This is the story of the Serpent Mound and why it remains one of the most significant ancient sites in the world. As we've journeyed through its history, from its debated origins to its rediscovery and preservation, one question echoes louder than any other. Why does it still matter? In a world of skyscrapers and satellites, what can an ancient mound of earth possibly teach us? The answer, it turns out, is everything. First, let's talk about the sky. The Serpent Mound isn't just a random shape on the ground. It's a celestial calendar, a cosmic observatory etched into the very fabric of the earth. The head of the serpent aligns perfectly with the summer solstice sunset, the moment of the year's longest day. The coils of its body seem to mark the equinoxes and even the cross-quarter days, those important midpoints between solstices and equinoxes. This isn't a coincidence. This is sophisticated, intentional, astronomical knowledge. For modern astronomers, both professional and amateur, the mound is a testament to the incredible observational skills of ancient peoples. It reminds us that you don't need a high-powered telescope to understand the cosmos. You need patience, keen observation, and a deep connection to the cycles of nature. Every year, people gather here to witness these alignments, to stand where ancient astronomers stood and watch the sun dip below the horizon, exactly where the serpent's open jaws seem to be waiting. It's a powerful link to a sky-watching tradition that spans millennia, inspiring a sense of wonder that modern technology can sometimes obscure. It challenges us to look up from our screens and reconnect with the grand, celestial clockwork that governs our planet. But the mound's influence extends far beyond the scientific community. It's a muse, a source of profound inspiration for artists, poets, and writers. Think about it. The sheer scale, the elegant, flowing curves, the mystery of its purpose. It's a canvas for the imagination. Painters are drawn to the way the light and shadows play across its form throughout the day and seasons. Sculptors see the masterful shaping of the earth itself as a pinnacle of land art. Photographers strive to capture its enigmatic presence, a silent guardian of ancient secrets. The symbolism of the serpent is also incredibly potent. Across countless cultures, serpents represent transformation, rebirth, healing, and the cycles of life and death. The mound's image of a serpent seemingly swallowing an egg or the sun is loaded with meaning. It speaks to themes of creation, destruction, and eternity. This powerful imagery has found its way into countless works of art, each artist offering their own interpretation of its deep, universal message. It's a reminder that great art doesn't just decorate. It communicates across time, speaking a language of symbol and form that transcends words. And then there's the spiritual dimension. For many, the Serpent Mound is not just an archaeological site. It is a sacred place. It's a place of palpable energy, a center for spiritual reflection and connection. People from all walks of life and belief systems come here seeking peace, insight, and a link to something larger than themselves. Native American groups, particularly those with ancestral ties to the Ohio Valley, view the site with deep reverence. It's a living part of their heritage, a place for ceremony and for honoring the ancestors who built it. Modern spiritual seekers also flock to the mound. They walk its length, meditate within its curves, and feel the pull of its ancient energy. Whether you call it spiritual, historical, or simply a sense of awe, there is an undeniable feeling that you are standing on consecrated ground. The mound invites introspection. It asks us to consider our own place in the long story of humanity and our connection to the earth beneath our feet. In our fast-paced, often disconnected world, places like the Serpent Mound offer a vital sanctuary for the soul, a quiet space to listen to the whispers of the past. Of course, the mystery itself is a huge part of its enduring appeal. The fact that we don't know everything about it is what keeps us coming back. It's a historical puzzle that continues to fuel research and debate. Archaeologists are still working to unravel its secrets, using known invasive technologies like ground-penetrating radar and magnetic gradiometry. Researchers can now peer beneath the surface without ever disturbing the soil. These techniques have revealed details about the mound's construction, showing the careful layers of clay, ash, and stone that form its body. They're helping to refine the timeline of its creation and understand the landscape as it was 1,000 years ago. Each new discovery, no matter how small, adds another piece to the puzzle. Was it built by the Adena culture, as was long believed, or the Fort Ancient culture, as more recent dating suggests? Or perhaps it was a collaborative effort, a sacred site used and added to by different peoples over centuries. The ongoing research is a dynamic process, a conversation between modern science and the ancient world. It teaches us that history isn't static. It's a living field of inquiry, constantly evolving as new evidence comes to light. This dedication to understanding the mound goes hand in hand with the critical work of preservation. The Serpent Mound is fragile. It's made of earth, and it's vulnerable to erosion, weather, and the simple wear and tear of millions of visitors over the years. Protecting it is a massive undertaking. The site is managed by Ohio History Connection and protected as a National Historic Landmark. There are constant efforts to maintain the turf, manage water drainage, and ensure the structural integrity of the effigy. But preservation isn't just about physical maintenance, it's about education. The visitor center at the site plays a crucial role in sharing the story of the mound with the public. Through exhibits and educational programs, they help people understand its significance and the importance of respecting it. When you visit, you're not just a tourist, you're a temporary steward of this incredible legacy. The leave no trace principle is paramount here. The goal is to ensure that the Serpent Mound survives for future generations to wonder at, just as we do today. This effort to preserve the mound teaches us a broader lesson about our responsibility to protect all of our shared cultural heritage, these irreplaceable links to our collective human past. In 2023, the Serpent Mound, along with other nearby earthworks, was designated a UNESCO World Heritage Site, cementing its status as a treasure of global importance. This recognition brings even more attention and resources to its long-term preservation. Ultimately, the Serpent Mound's greatest power lies in its ability to make us curious. It's a gateway. It pulls you in with its stunning visual form and its deep mystery, and in doing so, it opens a door to the vast, rich history of ancient North America. Before you know it, you're not just asking about one mound, you're asking about the people who built it. What were they? What did they believe? What was their world like? You start learning about the Hopewell tradition and their vast trade networks that stretched across the continent. You discover the Fort Ancient culture and their vibrant agricultural villages. You realize that the Americas before Columbus were not an empty wilderness, but a continent teeming with complex societies, sophisticated knowledge systems, and breathtaking artistic and engineering achievements. The Serpent Mound challenges the old, outdated narratives of a primitive, undeveloped past. It stands as irrefutable proof of the genius of indigenous peoples. It encourages us to dig deeper, to read more, to visit other sites, and to listen to the voices of native communities who carry these ancient traditions forward. It sparks a desire to learn, and that is perhaps its most important function today. So, why does the Serpent Mound still matter? It matters because it connects us to the cosmos, inspiring a sense of wonder about our place in the universe. It matters because it fuels our creativity, showing us the timeless power of art and symbolism. It matters because it offers a space for spiritual connection and reflection in a noisy world. It matters because it pushes the boundaries of scientific research, challenging us to solve its ancient puzzles. And most importantly, it matters because it makes us ask questions. It ignites a curiosity that leads us to a fuller, more accurate, and more respectful understanding of the deep and complex history of this land and the people who have called it home for millennia. The Great Serpent of Ohio has been silent for over 1,000 years, yet it speaks to us more clearly now than ever before. It speaks of the stars, of the earth, of the human spirit, and of the enduring power of a story told not with words, but with the land itself. It is a legacy that we are all privileged to share and responsible to protect. Thank you for joining me on this deep dive into the enduring relevance of the Serpent Mound. If you've ever visited the mound, I'd love to hear about your experience in the comments below. What did you feel when you stood there? And if you haven't been, I hope this has inspired you to learn more. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next exploration into the ancient world. Thanks for watching. Our journey through time and mystery now draws to a gentle close. We find ourselves back on this quiet Ohio hilltop, the world around us hushed and still. The sun has dipped below the horizon, painting the last streaks of orange and purple across the vast sky, and a deep, peaceful twilight settles over the land. The sounds of the day have faded, replaced by the soft whisper of the wind rustling through the ancient trees and the gentle chirping of crickets, a timeless chorus of the Ohio night. As darkness deepens, the first stars begin to appear, pinpricks of light in the velvet blackness. One by one, then in clusters, they emerge, scattered like diamonds across the celestial dome. Here, far from the glare of city lights, the night sky reveals its true splendor. The Milky Way, a shimmering river of light, stretches from one end of the horizon to the other, a breathtaking sight that connects us to the cosmos and to the countless generations who have gazed upon it from this very spot. Look up. There's the Big Dipper, its familiar shape, a steady guide in the northern sky. And there, the faint glimmer of a distant galaxy, a smudge of light that has traveled for millions of years to reach our eyes. Meteors, fleeting streaks of fire, occasionally dash across the darkness, silent messengers from the void. It's a celestial performance, a grand and silent ballet that unfolds every single night, just as it has for millennia. This is the sky the builders of this great mound knew. This is the canopy of stars that guided their lives, marked their seasons, and fueled their beliefs. Down below, the Great Serpent Mound rests in the deepening shadows. Its earthen coils, so clear in the daylight, now blend with the contours of the hill, a subtle, powerful presence under the starlight. You can almost feel the energy of this place, a quiet hum that seems to resonate with the earth itself. The head of the serpent, with its open jaws, is perfectly aligned, not just with the setting sun of the solstice, but with these celestial bodies above. It's a silent observer, a timeless guardian. Imagine standing here 1,000 years ago. The air would have been just as cool, the stars just as bright. The people who built this monument would have gathered on nights like this, their faces illuminated by firelight, their eyes turned to the heavens. They would have watched the same moon rise, a silver crescent slowly climbing over the eastern hills, casting long, mysterious shadows. They would have tracked the movements of the planets, those wandering stars that held special significance in their cosmology. For them, this mound was not just earth and clay. It was a connection, a sacred link between their world and the world of the spirits, between the land below and the sky above. The serpent's form, winding and graceful, seems to mirror the constellations that wheel overhead. Perhaps it represents a creature of their mythology, a being of immense power that bridged the realms. Or maybe it's a terrestrial map of the stars, a way to understand and honor the cosmic order. The open jaws, seemingly ready to consume the sun, or an egg-like shape, speak of sickles of life and death, of beginnings and endings, of the eternal rhythm of the universe. It's a story told not in words, but in earth and alignment, a story that continues to unfold with every sunrise, every sunset, and every turn of the celestial sphere. Tonight, under this brilliant canopy of stars, the serpent is not just a relic of the past. It feels alive. It is a silent sentinel, its earthen eye forever fixed on the cosmic dance. It continues its long watch, just as it has for over 1,000 years. It watches the moon wax and wane, its silvery light bathing the landscape in an ethereal glow. It watches the stars trace their ancient paths across the sky, their light a constant reminder of the vastness of time and space, and it waits patiently for the return of the sun, the source of all life, to begin the cycle anew. The questions we've explored may never have definitive answers. The full meaning of this place might be lost to the mists of time, but perhaps that's part of its enduring power. The Great Serpent Mound doesn't give up its secrets easily. Instead, it invites us to wonder, to imagine, and to connect with something much larger than ourselves. It reminds us that we are part of a long, unbroken chain of humanity, all of us looking up at the same sky, all of us seeking to understand our place in the cosmos. As we leave this sacred hill and return to our own time, we carry a piece of this magic with us. We carry the image of the serpent, coiled under a blanket of stars, a timeless symbol of mystery, wonder, and the enduring connection between the earth and the heavens. It continues its watch, a silent guardian of ancient wisdom, forever watching the sun, the moon, and the stars. Thank you for joining us on this incredible journey. Keep exploring, keep questioning, and never lose your sense of wonder.